Don't show up, don't come out.
Take your seats. Sprint starts now. There's all kinds of ways to run, but there's only one way to sprint. A sprint is a point A to point B intentional moment, and your sprint puts you in this room today. Congratulations. On the table in front of you, you will see one shoe representing you running well. We here at eXp Realty love to build big, but we also love to come from contribution. Every shoe in front of you has a match, and those shoes in all 3 sprint event cities across the country will be donated to the local Boys and Girls Club, and they are so excited. But wait! You get a pair of sprint shoes too, as well as a custom commemorative Golf Mondo marker. Event leaders, please hand out the awards to these regional sprint winners. And welcome to this sprint event.
How's everyone doing today? Woo! Welcome to our COVID-19 conference room. Do we spread you out enough? Yeah, I know, it sucks. You got to have binoculars to see your friends across the room. But this is what the JW Marriott needed to let us come here. How do you guys like the resort? Right on. So here's the deal. We want this to be impactful, amazing, so you guys need to go absolutely freaking nuts and bring your own energy to the room. Can you do it?
Yeah.
Stand up, and let me stand up right now, and we're gonna, I want you to cheer for this event, because if you let this get deep in your soul, you could do some amazing things. But you gotta show up. You can't walk in, cross your arms, your legs, and your eyes and expect to get something out of this. You gotta sit on the edge of your seat, and you gotta freaking want it so bad, and all of a sudden, you're gonna walk away with nuggets and things. You can go home and just kill it. So on the count of 3, we're just gonna let out a cheer. Sound good, Brian?
Let's do it.
You say 1.
1, 2, 3.
Woo! Yeah!
Come on, baby.
See, there's just something when you release. Go ahead, you can sit back down. So what we're gonna do is we had a contest to get here, right, Brian?
That's right.
Tell them what the contest was.
So you had to have 3 front lines signed in 45 days, okay? And I got to tell you something that's funny. Even Brent and I had to qualify, right?
Yep.
How many did you get?
I think I ended up with 7.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
Good job.
So we did.
Yeah, no, you had to have enough people to qualify. I think we had a couple hundred people across the country make
We
it.
had hundreds do it. But you guys were the first 50 to get it done. Some of you got it done in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. So congratulations to all of you. In fact, we have a few guests, but if you qualified, this is mainly for agents. So if you actually sponsored 3 and you qualified, you're not a guest, stand up. We want to recognize you. Just stand up where you are. Stand up high. There you go. So what we're going to do, stay standing. We have some people going to give you a gift, because not only are we donating these beautiful sneakers to the Boys and Girls Clubs, and they're fired up. I mean, how many of these kids that are hanging out there would love to have a pair of these? So we're giving each of you, what are we giving them there, Brian?
They're getting their own pair of shoes?
Their own pair of shoes. We're giving you a $100 gift card to a sporting goods place. So everybody standing who qualified for this gets one. And we're going to give you, because you worked hard, we want to give you a little gift. You sprinted. You won the sprint. Once you get it, you can stand, you can sit. Once you've received your gifts, if they're standing, hand it to them. If they got them. Stay standing if you have not received your gift cards and your little golf. It's a silly little thing, but we just want to say thank you and we're proud of you and all that good stuff. So good. All right. So with that, we want you to dig deep. We want you to take a lot of notes. And we have a very, very special guest here today. One of America's newest billionaires is in the room. And I will let Brian introduce him.
Well, listen, folks, I'll just tell you a quick little story. So I came out to Arizona 2005 with all my clothes in a garbage bag. Okay, this is a true story. I hitched a ride with a friend. I was down and out. I was collecting unemployment. I had a background in digging ditches, and just working my butt off. And I was a sales guy. I had a little bit of background in sales, but when I got out to Arizona, I quickly realized I wanted to be a real estate agent. So I went to real estate school, started getting my license, and while I was in school, I started interviewing, and I literally was checking my email at the public library. I was borrowing, I say borrowing in quotes, 99 cents out of my roommate's cup holder, his change holder, so I could pay for a Whopper for lunch. And one of the ads I responded to was a Craigslist ad, and it happened to be Glenn Sanford. And he was looking for a team leader here in Phoenix. Again, this was 15 years ago, almost over 15 years ago. And I hadn't even finished real estate school. I was still in real estate, so I was still trying to pass my test. I think, don't quote me and don't record this, but I think I was on like my 4th or 5th try. And I went and interviewed with Glenn at the Tempe Palms. And, I don't know. He must have saw something in me, but I think he liked that I had no bad habits, and he liked that he could coach me. And one of the most important things Glenn taught me back then was he said, Brian, he taught me 2 important things. He said, number 1, there's 2 types of people in real estate. There's real estate people that happen to be doing business, and then there's business people that happen to be doing real estate. And he definitely taught me how to be more of a business person, be an entrepreneur, someone that treated my business like a Fortune 500 company. And the second thing he said was, just get the fuck out of your own way. Stop self-sabotaging and just let it happen. So I want to introduce Glenn Sanford. Listen, I could talk about Glenn for hours, but I'd rather let you hear it from him himself. But Glenn is one of the most influential people in my life other than my father. And I'm here to say 15 years later, you've absolutely changed my life, Glenn. I can't thank you enough for what you've done for me and my family. Glenn Sanford.
Okay. First of all, what an interesting time we live in today. We're obviously having launched eXp back in 2009, and I remember being here in Scottsdale in April 2009, and Brian and it was about 8 or 9 people, maybe 10 people in the room, and we started to think about this whole idea of what was going on at that time. Just after 2008, we had started a team here, as Brian mentioned, in 2005. We built that. I think within just months, we were the top team in the Keller Williams office here locally. But I actually started 6 real estate teams. Just met a gentleman from San Diego that is a glutton for punishment as well, launching multiple teams. I think was that you? Who was that? Oh, back there. Yeah. So glutton for punishment. It's like, why start 1 when you can start 5? That's kind of the mindset that we had back then. And we started teams in Bellingham, Washington, Seattle, Phoenix, Portland, Las Vegas, Nashville, Tennessee, Long Beach, California, and there were some other outliers that we did back then. And we loved the Keller system at the time. It was great because of what that model represented, and it represented a way to sort of expand your market reach using their profit share system to sort of go market to market. And so we just leveraged that system as best we could, and we figured out in 2007 that it really didn't work to our liking, so we started actually in 2007, we launched Buyer Tours Realty, and so it was a buyer-based, team-based real estate company, brokerage, and we got that into multiple cities. Suzanne Fuqua was our managing broker during that period of time. I think it was during that period of time. During that, 2008 happened, and then 2009 we started to think about, what ultimately did we want to build, and we said, hey, Keller Williams built this great model using profit share. Why don't we do revenue share? If we don't have bricks and mortar, and that was the other thing, I couldn't afford physical offices at the time. If we don't have physical offices and we leverage technology, then we're going to have a whole bunch of extra money that we could use to actually incent agents and brokers to want to go grow the brokerage with us. And me personally, even when I was in the Keller system, I wasn't a paid employee of Keller. I wasn't anything other than just an agent. I was part of the Agent Leadership Council and Agent Technology Council for Keller, but outside of that, I was an average agent, not an average agent, but I was an agent building a real estate team on that platform, and I was recruiting all the agents to the team. So I recruited, I don't know how many agents total. I think over the course of 3 years, 184 people joined because of the work that we were doing, and what I realized is I was a better recruiter than the team leader, and I'm like going, why the heck would I ever let the team leader do the recruiting? If I know the model, and if I'm good at it, then there's probably a whole bunch of other people that would be good at it if you gave them the same opportunity. And so that really just went in the backdrop. Brian and I, of course, were first ones pitching this model back in 2009. We were the ones trying to get our first, 3, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 agents into eXp. In the early days, it was a little tough. We did not have the brand recognition. I think by the end of 2009, we had started in October. We started with about 25, 35 agents. I think we might have got to 50 agents by the end of the year. So for those of you who might feel a little bit like my team hasn't grown that much, well, exponential growth really takes on some really unique aspects. We did lots of math and said, if the average agent brought over 1.5 agents per year, and we looked at that over the course of about 10 years, you'd make $1 million a year in the rev share system the way we designed it. And of course, at that point, it was just theoretical. We're like, hey, this could really work. If the average agent just brought 1.5 agents a year, and of course, everybody in this room brought in over 3 agents during the course of the sprint. So you guys would be bigger producers than what we were originally building the model around, and we've grown way faster than 1.5 agents per year per agent. So the growth rate has outstretched what our original model sort of suggested. In fact, we actually didn't predict that we'd have 10,000 agents, and this was in 2012, until 2020, and of course, we're now knocking on the door of 40,000 agents by year end. So that's just incredible what that growth has done. And first of all, I want to just congratulate each of you for getting the folks that you've got in. I know we've got I know we've got some folks from Albuquerque that is just right at 60 days in, but how many people have been with eXp less than 90 days? Oh, that's awesome. And so, the fact is this opportunity for agents to grow their own brokerage inside the brokerage is pretty phenomenal. And if you get it, then other agents are going to get it from you. They're gonna pick up on your enthusiasm. They're gonna pick up on your passion. And one of the cool things is that passion will sell eXp for you, because if you're excited about eXp, it's gonna naturally come out that this is a cool company. Even if we didn't have the rev share and the equity and all the other benefits, obviously that helps the passion level. But if you are passionate, people are going to follow you. And so that, even when I was at Prudential, we didn't have a rev share system or anything else back in 2002, but I had agents that joined the Prudential office that I was associated with because I was an enthusiastic person, really enjoyed the business of real estate. I did run my business truly as a business. I literally put myself on salary probably within 6 months of actually getting in the business, which, if you're an active agent, even if you're more on the attraction side, put yourself on salary. It's like, in my opinion, it's like the #1 way to start to build wealth in your real estate practice is to start to pay yourself a salary. And even if you can't pay yourself, what you think the job would pay normally, accrue a salary that you'll pay out at a later date, but then eventually, keep yourself at a reasonable salary and then invest in your business. Take that extra money and invest and actually run your business as a business. It'll totally change your trajectory in what you're doing in building your enterprise. Anyway, this has been 11 years, 1 month, almost to the day, that we've been kind of building this thing called eXp. We're now in 5, 6 countries. We got India, just as Michael Valdez, who runs international, he just posted some stuff, and we've got a really great leader in India, and we've got over, I don't know how many inquiries, but the engagement on the India launch is huge. We just launched in South Africa. We've got a pretty good contingency of agents in South Africa that have recently joined. We've got France that's literally right around the corner. Portugal's right around the corner. Mexico's right around the corner. And all of these markets are coming on really quickly. We've got such an amazing team in the background. One person I want to just introduce to you if you haven't met this person, and that's the co-president of eXp Realty, Stacey Anand. So Stacey. So if any of you have read the Red Book, which if you haven't read the Red Book or don't know what that is, that's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and it's all about getting to the 7th level. And if you really think about it, it's really about surrounding yourself with really great people, people who can do the business technically way better than you can, because left to our own devices, especially the agents in the room, left to our own devices, we'll probably mess anything up. And so you want to find those people who are systems people that are really oriented toward systematizing and running the back office of the organization. And Stacey has been tirelessly for over 2 years now growing the brokerage operations side. So she's the one that makes sure that all the glue in the background is there to support each and every one of you growing the business. So I wanted to make sure if you hadn't seen or met Stacey, that you got a chance to know who she is. I'm going to let her speak, just say a few words, and then we're going to turn it over to the rest of the crew here.
Thank you very much. It is really fun to be here, and what I liked the most when I looked at the guest list was that I didn't know so many of the people on it. Like, to me, that was the coolest part, was I got to come and meet people that, and also, when you think of those of you that just got here, like, you get to do something that a lot of people haven't done in a while, and you get to be in a room with the other people, and you get to get fresh ideas. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm looking forward to listening to everybody they've got lined up for the next 2 days. I do just want to remind you, that, as Glenn said, we're kind of the behind-the-scenes group, but we're absolutely here. And so I know a lot of you know that. I know you know how to reach out to me. Between myself and Jim Newth, who runs the other part of operations, and a lovely lady named Amelie Quiros, who runs payment processing, I just want to make sure everybody always knows if you have struggles or you've got things you're looking for, that's absolutely what we're there for. We're not always out front, but we're looking to always make the payment systems better, making sure that your brokers have everything they need to help you, getting them staffed up the right way. Amelie just told me yesterday, she's so excited. You guys gave her an insane challenge this year. So, you guys killed transactions so much that she has spent the most of this year just trying to get staffed up enough. And yesterday she said she's finally at a point where she feels like she's got the right amount for you guys, and she can make sure that she's getting everything on all cylinders. So I hope you are seeing a lot of those improvements in that, and we're just continually working to fix that. But so please know we're all here for you, even though you may not see the operations group a lot. Jim Newth, Amelie, and myself, reach out anytime you have questions or concerns or needs, and we'll absolutely be there for you. And I look forward to meeting each one of you. I know I've met a couple of you. It was a good group over there, so look forward to meeting the rest.
Well, yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Stacey. Thank you so much. Listen, if you think about what is eXp Realty, at some level, it's the ultimate real estate system. It's Glenn Sanford's answer to the question, can we invent or recreate or reproduce a forward-thinking, economy-proof real estate company? And I think we answered that question, right, Glenn? We can create that. And, about, 9-10 years ago, we came up with this model. It was really incredible to watch Glenn put this stuff together. I mean, we were really looking at all the different stuff out there, and I'll never forget, he disappeared for 3 days. And we had back then, the original cloud office used to be Yahoo Instant Messenger. So Glenn could always keep tabs on us because he knew if we were away or we weren't at our computers or whatever. And one day Glenn was gone for 3 days, and I'm going to my wife. I'm like, uh-oh, where'd Glenn go? And I'll never forget, he came back out and he said, Brian, I think I figured it out. And he literally, it was like It was like Moses coming down from Mount Sinai with the golden tablets, and he was like, the 7-level rev share. And I was like, oh my God. And he walked me through it, and I thought this thing is a game changer from the minute I first saw it. And so at some level, we struck gold. You know, we figured it out. We cracked the code. And Glenn is kind of a code breaker, if you will. I'm still convinced he's never admitted it, but I think he cracked the original Google algorithm, and that's why we have all these great, and that's why they changed it, by the way. But we discovered gold, but like nobody knew about it. Nobody figured it out. And then a few years later, a couple guys came over and said, hey, I think you guys have some gold in this ground. Do you mind if we start sticking our shovels in? And I'm talking about Gene Frederick. I'm talking about Rob Flick. I'm talking about Brent Gove. And these people, not only did they say, hey, you guys got something valuable in here, and we want to come in here and get a piece of it, but they told the rest of the planet how to come find it, and they brought shovels, and they brought steam engines, and they brought horse-drawn wagons with teams full of people with pickaxes, and they've been digging into this ground and pulling out gold. And I'm telling you, I'm standing here today to tell you right now, if you don't start sticking your shovel in the ground like Brent is showing us all how to do, you guys are going to be missing the boat, and you'll be kicking yourself forever. And we all have that story where, hey, my grandpa had an opportunity to invest in McDonald's, right? Like back in Chicago, he could have invested in fast food hamburgers, and he passed, right? He didn't look at the opportunity. Well, when you have someone like this, when you have the LeBron James of building organizations joins your brokerage, you better listen, you better start training, you better start studying every move that someone like LeBron or Michael Jordan, you better work out like they work out, you better run the hills that they're running, you better lift the weights that they're running. So I'm happy to introduce Brent Gove, the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James of growing a real estate organization. Brent Gove.
All right, all right. How you guys doing today? Good? All right, let me grab the clicker here, see if I can see it. I can. All right, well, let's see. I think it was, I want to say about February of 2009. And there I sat in front of a bankruptcy lawyer. And it had been in the downturn for 4 years. I was 39 years old in 2005 when the downturn happened. I had 55 agents working for me. I was the #1 RE/MAX agent in California, selling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes annually. I'm in Dave's book. I got to be successful, right? And I was, until that market switched. And it didn't switch slowly, it switched overnight. In June of 2005, we closed 55 homes in 1 month. I got paid 55 times. I'm riding the wave, like in the big waves in Hawaii, where they pull you onto it with the jet ski. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing in the world. And then I did the old wipeout. And in the next month, I closed 19 homes. That had never happened. We had gone from 5 to 10 to 20 to 15 to 25 to 21 to 30 to 37. From 1999 to 2005, we're cranking 45, 50, 55 closings a month. On my way to sell over 600 homes in 2005. I got the world by the tail. Leverage, man, I had someone to get me water, someone to pick up my dry cleaning, someone to do CRM, someone to take all the video shots of the homes, someone to do the TC work, someone to do something for somebody to do something. I had 13 full-time assistants. I had 45 buyer's agents. Life is good. And then we closed 19 homes. I lost $280,000 in a month. And then I thought, well, surely we went to Scottsdale. We actually came here. We stayed at the Kierland Resort. I brought my team. I brought staff. We brought their spouses. It took 2 Greyhound buses, 60 each. We had 120-something of us. I think we sat on each other's laps in those buses. And we did that in July. And that month we closed 19. I thought, okay, it was the 4th of July, and it was our trip. And the lost revenues, and the trip was $100,000. I lost like $380,000 in a month. And I'm like, this sucks. Big mistake. Don't do things with the major holiday weekend, 4th of July, then 2 weeks later, nobody worked in the month of July. That's what I told myself. And so the next month, we did way better. We closed 17. With 45 of us working full-time like we always had. And the next month it was 15, the next month it was 14, the next month it was 12, by December it was 9. And every single agent went bankrupt, lost their home, lost their Cadillac Escalades, lost their BMWs, lost their Chevy Tahoes or Chevy Suburbans. Everybody lost everything. I owned vast amounts of real estate. So I'm thinking, we'll get over this. Okay, the correction's here. They've been talking about it. Remember they started talking about it in 2003, 2004? It's coming, it's coming. Well, it came. So I started selling my properties. And I didn't lose any to foreclosure. In fact, I made so much money, I created a massive capital gains issue. And all of a sudden, I found myself a few years later owing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS. Now I'm 42 going, it's got to turn. And it didn't turn. And year after year after year after year went by. And then we learned what it was like for people to pull copper wiring out of homes and just rip it right out of the sheetrock. To rip sliders out of the back of houses because they paid for those sliders at Home Depot. And dang it, they're going to take the sliders with them. And they're taking the microwave with them. And they're taking those $110 ceiling fans with them. And we had to learn about what all that was like. So by 2009, I was so desperate, I left a company I was in love with, Remax. And I go, I'm going to go try Keller Williams. And I went to Keller Williams in 2009, and I sat in front of that bankruptcy lawyer, and I was still making like $180,000 a year. And he goes, you make too much to go bankruptcy. You still have cash. They're going to squeeze you for everything you got. You have to go down to making very little. I go, I just can't do that. And they go, well, then you can't go bankrupt. You make too much to go bankrupt. So why am I telling you this wonderful feel-good story? Here's why. I think some of you have had it too easy. Some of you are too comfortable. So I go to Keller Williams, and they're like, what is it you need me to do as a team leader? You need to recruit 80 people. If you, okay, maybe 100. I'm like, okay. So I set my goals on that. And I go, and I'm going for a couple months, and I realize, well, forget that. What do the stars do? What do the top dogs do? I like to compete. They go, well, the top agents, they do like 150, 160, 170. I think our top agent did 175 last year, recruits in the year. I go, I'm going to go for 180. And I recruited 177, and I'm doing all this. But guess what? It was a slow march to getting out of debt with the IRS. How many of you think an investment that pays a 50% annual return is a good investment? So I was a cash cow to the IRS. I spent years and years and years. I missed the front page of the Sacramento Bee by $10,000. They published Sacramento's deadbeat taxpayers. Now, these were all the celebrated business people in Sacramento. They owned 40 Wendy's, 30 Taco Bells. They owned buildings like this. They owned commercial real estate. And they're all on the front page of the Bee going, total losers, not paying their taxes. And they went from celebrated restaurateurs to deadbeat. And thank God, I remember thinking, thank you, God. My ego did not want to make the front page of the Bee. I went to high school in Sacramento. I didn't want everyone to know how far I'd fallen. And so I'm digging out, and just kind of on my way. But we weren't even done come October 21st, 2016, when I saw eXp. We still weren't done. And so I get an eXp, and we have this big need, this massive desire. And so here's what I want you to write down. The first thing I want you to write down is I want you to let go of your precious ego. Your ego is so out of whack. You care so much about what other agents and brokers think that you don't call them. You literally, I don't care. I'm not rude, like I don't cut people off. Not that kind of I don't care. If they're not interested, it's nothing personal. I'm on. There's 2 million out there. But the famous saying, if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. Tell me why you're too late one more time. I went to Keller Williams in 2009 when they were already 88,000 agents. I said no for 10 years. There are people who said no to eXp for the last 10 years. They're coming. People are saying no now. They'll be here in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They're coming. You're here at 36,000 agents. We're going to have 1 million. There's going to be at least 400,000 to 500,000 between the U.S. and Canada. There'll be another 500,000, 600,000 worldwide. We're going to be in 50 states. And so you really got to check yourself. You start telling yourself, well, I'm too busy. I'm too this. I'm too that. And so I want you to reach deep. So I have a question for you. Some of you are so excited and you've sponsored all these people. You're doing great, great. Keep it up, proud of you. But for the rest of you that maybe you're frustrated. And I was at Tony Robbins, he had a big banner up there on the wall, and it says, frustration is a precursor to success. How many believe that to be true? Man, I totally believe that to be true. I believe it is so important that you're frustrated. If you're frustrated, in fact, if you're not frustrated, I don't think you're really trying. I mean, I'm always grateful, always excited, but I'm always frustrated. It never grows fast enough because I want you to succeed. I want Chris Nevada to succeed. I want different people to make it. And I want it for them sometimes more than they want it. So write this down. You gotta have big goals that encompass your team. Your goals gotta be so big that you have to pull people forward. Your team will rise to the level that you expect from them. What kind of expectations do you have for your team? Because if you just expect them to do okay, the greatest coaches, they have a way of pulling you forward. Like, you're better than this. Listen to me. If you have underestimated me, you've made a big mistake. You have made the biggest mistake of your life. Do not. You got to feel that way about you. And so, I mean, you don't have time, really? It's a quick phone call. How many people did you call today? Well, I was here at the resort, and you got to want it so bad. Rob goes, stay on the stage, we're filming. I'm like, no, I got this. I'm like, I don't know how much of a close-up this is, but the poor people at home. So anyways, so here's the deal. Let me ask you a question. If you were going to open a steak and seafood restaurant here in Scottsdale, nice, high-end, would you have a business plan, yes or no? Would you? Man, it'd be detailed. And it would talk about how many employees you're going to have and what kind of food you're going to serve and what the restaurant's going to look like, where it's going to be, possibly the vibe, what kind of music you're going to play. You're going to have a valet. You know, what kind of food will be served, what kind of appetizers, what kind of chef are you going to hire? And there's going to be something else in there. And it's all the big C. Who could tell me what it's very important to any business? Who knows what C stands for in the business plan? Come on. Capital. So let me ask you a question today. Have you capitalized your business? Or have you run this like a real estate agent? We get our license, we get in. Hey, who wants to see property? Woo-hoo, get in my car. Let's go. And we did it. It's fun. I did it too. And there was no capital. You have a license. You paid $1,200 for it. You cram for the exam, 20, 30 hours of studying. A hairstylist spends 3,500 hours learning how to style hair and to do nails and to do all the stuff they do. We spend 30 hours and we can destroy people's financial futures. It's a crack up. I can't believe they let us do what they do. But so have you got a business plan and do you have the capital? So you think, well, Brent, you were already successful, you had this money. I had a team of 18 agents and we were making great money. You know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800,000 a year on the tax return net after you write stuff off, but I still had tax debt. And I go, I'm gonna sell less on purpose because I have 5 kids, I got a family. I'm listing 60 homes a year. I have 6 listing specialists take the stuff I don't want. Out in Goodyear, out in Chandler, out in Tucson, it's 2 hours away, it's too far. And I would give it to we'll take it. Had clients that were maybe too difficult, we'll take it. I didn't pick the non-coachable clients. I'd give them to my 6 listing specialists. I had 2 that were particularly tough. I'd give them to them, and they'd wrestle them to the ground. I paid my dues. I'm working with nice clients who are coachable and have expensive homes and want to list at 6%. And so I'm doing all those things, but guess what? I still had debt. And so I go, if I drop from 60 sales a year to 30 to create the margin to do this, they're like, well, I don't have time, I don't have time. But create time. Make time. Don't argue for your limitations. Create the margin if it's a priority to me. Man, like Brian says, when I saw this, man, I leaned forward to my laptop, and then we're on a FaceTime Zoom. Even back then, I go, I cannot believe I'm going to say what I'm about to say, but I am super, super interested in this. That was like from seeing it. And then Sheila Fairdraw, my sponsor, thank you, Sheila. She was, okay, are you serious about Leo? What's up, buddy? Are you a legendary rock star? Just walked in the room, man. There's a handful. Anyway, so here's the deal. she did something very smart. I watched the webinar. You guys ever show people the webinar? She says to me, so you're interested? I go, yeah, I'm dang straight I'm interested. This is incredible. I mean, I got on here thinking, what a joke. You know, what could possibly be better than Keller Williams? I absolutely had that attitude, but she was nice and professional, so I sat there. So I said, I'm shocked at what you've just shown me. I'm very interested. She is, okay, so you want to do due diligence? Of course I want to do diligence. She is good. Open a new browser. Now remember, I've just seen this. I have a team doing 118 million a year, doing about 220 sales a year. I'm this, big deal. And she goes, type this in the browser, join.exprealty.com. Do you guys do that after you show the browser? Do you show it and tell them what to do? That's what leaders do. Leaders lead people where they don't want to go so that someday they'll be where they want to be. And it wasn't that I didn't want to go, but she said, you got to learn to say to people, here's what you need to do next. That's what you have to do, and you never get off the phone without an appointment. I never get on the phone without knowing what you're going to do next. Next, I'm going to have them talk to Fred Weaver Kaufman. Shoot, I mess up your guys' name all the time. Fred and Kevin. They're interchangeable, man. They're like Dunkin' Donuts or something, I love donuts anyways. But I'm down 40 pounds. I've lost a little weight, so that's good. So here's the deal. You have a plan. So she said, go here, you're going to apply. We're not going to contact Keller Williams. I don't care if you call Keller Williams. Isn't that another thing? People, oh my God, what if my broker finds out? If your broker finds out, you'll get a pay raise. That's what's going to happen. They will offer you 100% split, a free office, and leads for 2 years. That's what's going to happen. It blows me away when people don't want them to see, I don't want them to know I'm checking out Keller Williams. Anyway, or eXp. So here's the deal. She had me apply. I got my credit card out. I'm putting all this information in. Hit submit. Congratulations, received your application. She goes, you are not joining eXp. You're just doing your due diligence. I go, okay. Do you do that? You notice I didn't watch the webinar alone. She watched it with me. Do you do that? No, I just tell them to watch the modelexplain.com, Gene Frederick, Street Napkin, Jay Kinders, whatever. I have them do that. Then I chase them. After all, we're at a sprint. I'm going to catch them this time, baby, in these hot red things, right? No, you watch it with them. James, how many times did I watch the webinar with people? Remember Casey Spencer? Remember Sunday night at 8 o'clock when I drove up to Meadow Vista in the mountains? Went to his office, a cinder block office, like a World War II nuclear bomb dugout. And I hooked my computer into his screen, and we sat there and watched it at 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock, talked till 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. I drove to Walnut Creek 2 hours away and showed it to Rick Cheeha. How many people, Marguerite sat in my office right here watching the webinar, crying, looking at her husband Joe going, we're going to do this. I'm handing her Kleenex to wipe the mascara from her eye because she'd owned a franchise with 3 offices and 120 agents and had a Realty One come into town and take 30 of her star agents overnight. She had actually lost every office. She's like, but I was with them. When Marguerite got on her phone and started texting, and she's texting away, and she's not listening, she's texting. And she looks up, she looked at me, we locked eyes, and I'm like, this, I did that. She puts her phone down. See, you let them watch it, and they go, yeah, I saw it, it's not for me. No, they emailed and texted the whole time. Their 5-year-old walked in and distracted them. An agent walked in, and they really didn't hear it. So you got to learn to say stuff like this. You got to go, Fred, Kevin, you absolutely didn't watch it. That's called a confrontational statement. Well, what do you mean? I told you. I go, no. You guys are way too smart for this. I promise you, you didn't watch it. What I mean by that is you were emailing, you were texting, you took a phone call, an agent walked in, your kids watching. There was absolutely no way you watched it because you'd be excited right now. And you know what they say to me? My gosh, how'd you know? I go, because you're too smart. If you watched it, you'd be excited. See, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to drag you to their side of the fence. eXp is a joke. It's a scam. It's a multi-billion-dollar pyramid on the NASDAQ. And you're going to agree with them, even though you're in this room. Or they're coming to my side of the fence, which is we're going to change lives, we're going to serve, we're going to live, and your revenue share is exactly what it's supposed to be right now. Shouldn't be a penny higher. You are paid in direct proportion to the amount of value you bring this world. The amount of value you've brought your agents. The amount of value you've brought. In other words, your goal needs to become more valuable than the agent at Coldwell Banker's sales manager, than the broker associate at Remax's franchise owner or sales manager. You need to become more valuable. How do you do that? You bring value. Hey, let me help you with your listing presentation. I got this new way to get listings. You'll sign them every time. I got this new ad we can run on the radio. I got this new ad you can run on Craigslist or Zillow. Let me connect you to this. Let me help you. And when they look at you and say, there is no way I'm ever coming to eXp, I go, awesome. Never come to eXp. Let me help you. And then help them and help them and help them. And if they don't come, don't stop helping them. Because in life, there's two people. There's life enhancers and there's well poisoners. Which one are you? In other words, if you're giving to them and loving them and giving value to them because they might join you at eXp, you're coming from the wrong spot in your heart. You give and love and serve people because it's the right thing to do. Does that make sense? And then, trust me, enough of them will begin to flow to eXp. Does that make sense? If you're just helping them because they might come to eXp, you're a taker. You help them. And if they stay at Coldwell Banker for 30 years, God bless them. Let's help them. They got a wife, they got a husband, they got kids. Let's help them because does that make sense to everyone? Okay, it's time to start my talk. But I'll say this. Capital, I didn't have it. I knew I'd sell less. I was gonna lose $300,000 the first year because you go from 60 to 30, you're making $10,000 a house. How much is that? First thing I did was borrow $100,000 hard money, 10% due in 2 months. Paid it off, then borrowed it again. Paid it off, then borrowed it again. Paid it off, then I borrowed $400,000 the first year. Paid $40,000. One guy lent me $100,000. I paid him $10,000 2 months later. Then he lent it again. I paid him $10,000 2 months later. He got $40,000 in 1 year on his $100,000. He made 40% interest on his $100,000 in 1 year on me. I was glad to do it because I knew where my future was. See, if you go talk to Jeff and Marcy Willems back there, they've been to every possible real estate event you could go to. They've been to Craig Proctor, they've been to NAEA, they've been to Mike Ferry, they've been to Remax's convention. They've done it all. And they've come back and applied and applied and applied. And guess what? For 15 years, they've been selling 400 to 650 homes a year. For 15 years, that you can't get past it. I mean, there's a handful of people that get up to 1,000 and 1,800. Most people just top out at 200, 300 homes a year. They're stars, 400 to 600 a year. That's a big deal. And they make a good income, but it's linear. There's no exponential curve to it. It's very, very predictable. Then you go, I better get mortgage. I better get title. I better do these other things. And you further, but that's just all we knew. Guess what? Your future, let me tell you, you could go sell 100 homes this year. And in 5 years, it won't mean boo. What'd you sell 5 years ago? I don't care whether it was 20 homes or 100 or 800. It doesn't mean a thing today. But in the next 2 months, it's recruiting season. Agents switch November, December. The 10 or 15 or 20 agents you do, the 30 agents you recruit in the next 2 months. What do you mean 30? What are you talking about? I'm talking about big hags, big, hairy, audacious goals. You can't hit a goal you don't have. The reason you're not going to recruit 30 agents in the next 7 weeks, because you don't even have a goal to do it. How in the world could you possibly do something you're not even trying to do? And you're just going, well, I'm just trying to do 2 or 3 more this month. You are capable of so much more. But you got to let go of your precious ego. You guys with me? So what I did was I came up with a business plan. I capitalized my business. You get a general manager for your steak and seafood restaurant? James, stand up. James is that person for me. He would beat, give him a hand. No, he deserved it. I mean, I'm sure he'll make over $1 million this year. It's not bad pay, right? From helping me and what he's done, and it's been amazing. But here's the deal. He would beat on me Friday afternoons. If it was like 2:05, he'd be like, get off the phone and go in there and call agents. Do you have anyone doing for that? Oh, I can't afford that. I couldn't afford it either. I capitalized. I got the money so I could take my eye off that ball, and I was able to hire James to beat on me so I would go in there and go to where my future was. Coldwell Banker 100 years ago used to sell a lot of real estate. You know what? What if we opened an office and attracted agents, recruited them, whatever you want to call it? They're the only ones we remember 120 years later. They're the only ones. I'm sure there were some hotshot real estate agents in Iowa 120 years ago. We don't have a clue who they were. We remember the recruiters. We remember Sotheby's. We remember Dave Liniger from Remax. It's memorable. Gary Keller, they had impact. They had influence. Man, you could do so much, but you're too busy selling yourself a bunch of malarkey. And you're buying it. You're buying it. Let go of your ego. It's so freeing. And then it's cool. They're nice to you. It's not, oh man, I'm never. It's like, cool, baby, whatever I can do. Let's meet next week. Let me help you with your listings. Let me help you with my buyer agents and how I pay them. But I'm not coming. That's fine. I still want to help you, man. If you don't want my help, it's cool, but let me do this. And guess what? It just keeps going. And so I want to encourage you, capitalize your business. For me, I went after hard money. Do what you have to do. It's a business. It needs capital. So, should we get started? I just kind of let that go. So I'm going to talk about how to build momentum, and I'm going to go fast. How many minutes do I have left? I used quite a bit. 10 minutes, I'd imagine. 5 minutes? What do I got? 3 minutes? Okay. All right, we're going to go fast. James, how many minutes do I? 20? Okay. I love Brian. Brian's like 3. James says 20. I'm going for what? I'll go in the middle. I'll do it in 10. So, how to build momentum. Number 1, create a plan. When are you going to sell real estate and sell like a crazy man, a crazy woman? Number 2, when are you going to build your future? James, when did we work on that? But what day specifically? Yep, but what day of the week? When? What hours Friday? Very specific. We knew. He's forgotten, but he's a millionaire now. But anyways, he doesn't remember. But anyways, the point is, he wasn't sure what I was asking him. But the point is this, we chose a day a week. How often did we just blow that one off? What? Never. And when I tried to get busy because the Jones were pissed off about their leaky faucet and the repair man trekked mud on their floor from the fixing the leaky faucet, he goes, do that after 5. From 2 to 5, we were focused and we were relentless. And I signed up 5 a month for 8 months. I did 40. That's all I did. Here's what people do. They sign up 10 or 15 and they get some success and they forgot what got them there. Sponsoring. What do you need to do? Go do 10 or 15 more. Then what do I do? Do 10 or 15 more. Sponsoring solves every problem you have. It's cooking with gas. It's throwing gas on the fire. You want to change your group? Sponsor. Your group's looking at you and you're doing nothing. Now, I'm preaching to the choir. You're the ones who are actually doing something. But we're making this video for other people. So, agent attraction, outbound calls. See, when you don't work, when will you not work? Little typo there I didn't catch. In other words, when are you going to, like I golf every Friday morning and with my family on the weekends. I take Kathy out. There's my wife. Wave at everyone, baby. That's Kathy over there. Every Wednesday and Saturday night, we go out. I know when I'm not going to work. I know I'm going to work. I've told people with $5 million listings, I'm booked. I can't make it. I'm already committed. I don't tell them I'm going to church. I don't tell them I'm going out with my wife. I don't tell them I'm golfing on a Friday morning with James. I say I'm already committed, but I could do it at 3. I could do it the next 2 days. Boom, boom. They're fine with that. And guess what? You're able to be a mom, be a dad, be a husband, be a wife, be a friend. So you really got to figure out this thing and then follow the plan with passion and focus. Be intentional, be purposeful about prospecting. Implement the magic move. Who knows what the magic move is? Raise your hand. Anybody? The magic move is booking a meeting from a meeting. Never, ever, did I say never? Never, ever get off the phone without another meeting booked. You know who reminded me of that in this room? Is Don Yoakum. He is the master. He calls it fumbling the football, right, Matthew? Right, Tom? It's fumbling the football. You get off the phone, you don't have your next appointment booked. They'll say, well, I'm busy. Why don't you call me? Say, no, we're all busy. Why am I good at this? Because I've done a lot. We're all busy. Let's just pencil something in. You got to learn to talk like that. Let's just pencil something in. Oh, the rest of this week's shot. Good. Next Monday, let's pencil something in. Morning or afternoon or Tuesday, which is better? I guess Tuesday. Good. Morning or afternoon. Good. 2, 3, 4 o'clock. It's never, can you meet Tuesday? No. Can you do Wednesday? No. In fact, no. It's always multiple choice. Morning or afternoon. 3, 4, 5 o'clock. And you're always giving them choices. And then they pick something, and you're good. I'll text you a reminder the day before if something comes up or we schedule. Penciling stuff in is like putting and chiseling it in stone. It happens. It happened to me. I put this financial guy off for 2 weeks on a financial product I was not interested in. I put off. He kept hanging in there. He was able to book me for 2 weeks. And then I put on my calendar, Tom and Karen, and it shows up 3 o'clock Monday afternoon, Tom and Karen. I assumed it was the sponsor of an eXp. They called me, and there they are, right back at me, hammering me to spend like $30,000 a month on life insurance, right? $30,000 a month. I was not interested, but I felt magic move, book of me, and he's very successful. And never get on a Zoom or a 3-way call without the plan. Okay, after they talk to Tom, after they talk to Jeff Willems and Marcy Willems, what's next? Well, let's have them talk to Gene Frederick because he owned a franchise and they own a Century 21. Gene owned Remax. Or let's have them talk to the vice president of eXp. I'm not promise you I can get you this appointment. I'm talking like 5 or 10 minutes, but if I can get you on the phone with the vice president of eXp, the fastest growing real estate company in the history of North America, shattering Keller Williams and Remax's records in half. In 10 years, we get to 20,000. It took them 20. A multi-billion-dollar overnight success. The next Amazon real estate. If I can get you on the phone with Sam Rodriguez, and I'm not saying I can, but if I could get that, how would you like to talk to the vice president of the most rockin' real estate company as a part of your due diligence for 5 or 10 minutes? If I can get that, would you take that call? Would you? I say to people all the time, you see how I finished it? I didn't answer. And they go, I've never had anybody say, no, I wouldn't take that call. Well, that's Sam. What if Sam's busy? There's Chris Bear over on the East Coast. There's Dave Canord if they're big enough. Jason Gessing, Gene Frederick. I can't. Glenn Sanford, I can't bother them. If they're busy, they'll tell you. Workplace chat is a dream come true. I will talk to James. Is it Han, our new commercial president? Han, or did I say that right? I'll be talking to him later. I've never known him. I'll say, James, can I talk to you for 5 minutes? Now we may talk for now. Everything's 5 minutes. You get 2 minutes. Dave Canord, 60 seconds, I promise. 40 minutes later, we're still talking. You guys are like, can I have an hour of your time? Hell no. Who's got an hour of their time? How long is the webinar? Well, it's like 30 minutes. Let's schedule an hour. No, I'm too busy. Ask me how long the webinar. How long is the webinar? Man, it's short. It's like lightning fast. When can you do it? 1 o'clock. I know, but exactly how long is it? Look, if it bores you after 5 minutes, we'll just cut it off and call it good. You're going to be shocked. I don't answer the question. When they say, sit here and tell me what my home's worth, I say, how the heck can I do that? I haven't seen it yet. Show me your house. And we're walking around and go, wow, this pool's amazing. I love the palm trees. Oh my gosh, you walk into one of the bedrooms that's painted black. Their daughter worships the devil. Wow, this is great. Anyways, what else is in the house? You know, but you're building rapport with them, right? You learn to never say anything bad like, oh my God, this purple room is hideous. It's got to go. That was my grandma's room, and we haven't painted it in 20 years. And they're like, we're not listening to that SOB. I learned to not give them any advice on their home until I have a signed listing contract. And then I can tell them, this purple room is hideous. We're painting it, right? But you learn that stuff from experience. Same thing. You got to learn how to talk to people. When the Starbucks line has 10 cars in it, do you get in it? Probably not. 2 or 3 or 4, maybe. Everyone wants it fast. Quit. Everything's quick. Let's just, tomorrow, I want to get you on the phone for 5 minutes. I want to circle back to something I want to show you. It's vital. It's going to blow you out of your chair. Okay. I get the phone. I'm like, what am I going to tell them tomorrow for 5 minutes? That's amazing. I'll figure something out. And then I come up with whatever it is I want to talk to him about the stock, or maybe I get James Hong on the phone because they mentioned the commercial. Here's our new president of I have a surprise for you, James Hong, president of commercial. Now again, save vice presidents and Stacey on and the president of eXp. Save them for somebody big, not like I just got my license. I'm fresh out of state pen, and no, that's not who you use those people for. So again, the magic move, vital that I'll say it one more time. I just want you to get this. I want you to get it deep in your soul. Never get on a call or a Zoom without the next. Here's what we need to do next. Here's who I want you to meet next. And then just book it. Well, I don't know if I can get them in front of Sam Rodriguez. Let's just book it. And then if you say, look, Sam can't do 4, but he can do 4:30. Yeah, 4:30 works for me. See how you do it? so you can do this, okay? So book a meeting from a meeting. That's the magic move. C, utilize your upline big time. Call them your business partners, your mentors, never your upline. Hey, I want you to meet my upline. Big mistake. Don't go, oops, I said upline. I wasn't supposed to say that. If it slips out and you call me upline, fine. But learn to say, I want you to meet my business partner. That sort of thing, right? I want you to meet the most amazing human being in the world, Sheila Fairjean. She gave $500,000 to charity last year, to widows and orphans. How many of you know who gave away $500,000? I'm not saying I can get her on the phone, but if I could get her on a Zoom real quick for 5 or 10 minutes, would you want to meet her? Because she's changed my life. She means the world to me. You have to meet her because she's going to help you. Why should I meet her? She'll help you. She helped me. Oh my gosh, I never would have signed up all these people if it wasn't for Sheila. And that's the truth. James, how often did I talk to Sheila? Okay, did you hear what he said? 5 times a day. Well, I don't want to borrow a Kyle whistle. Well, maybe he's busy. But you know what? 2 months later, Sheila goes, I'm exhausted. Oh my gosh, you get sleep? She goes, I got to get back to real estate. I was talking to people 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. Webinar at 9, one at 10, one at 3, follow up at 4, follow up at 6. And guess what I did at 9, listing appointment. Guess what I did at 11:30, listing appointment. Guess what I did at 2 o'clock, held a deal together. Guess what I did at 4 o'clock, check on the financing. I weaved it in and out of my day. And it was the highlights of my day were waiting till 6 o'clock to meet with somebody and show them the thing and then get home. And I burned it up, man. And guess what? You create momentum. You create momentum. And so some are like, well, I am not doing that. I don't love money. I love people. I guarantee that. But to be able to point where your revenue share is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds a month, right? I mean, it's crazy. You guys, this is Amazon money. This is Google, Facebook. And are you all about money? Nope. You guys like my gorgeous watch? I bought it on a cruise last year, $140 Invictus. The cute ones you saw too, right? Cute. I use the word cute. It's my $140 watch. My Range Rover's 5 years old. It's got 112,000 miles on it. You know, I'm going to tell you about my boat. I don't have one. You know what I bought this year? Nothing. I'm debt-free. I don't have any tax problem anymore. I could buy anything I want. They'd sell me a 130-foot yacht right now, and I qualify for it. Not doing it. You know what my word was for 2020? They always say pick a word for the year. You know what my word was? No. Because I said yes to myself for a lot of years. I ain't buying it. No. You know what my word is for 2021? Save. What's your word? I'm going to invest money, save money. I don't got to have all this stuff. Sure, I like nice things. The one nice thing I've allotted me is I would fly coach for 50 years of my life. I learned to ride like this because I'm a big guy. I'd have to hug myself for 2.5, 3.5 hours in the center seat. I'm like, yeah, but it's $59. Southwest Getaway. I love it. I love it. I love flying for cheap. And Jeff Williams in the back. He's a big boy like me, not as big as me, but he's a big man. You know, Big John Jones or whatever it is, right? He's like, dude, you need to fly first class. I'm like, I'm not flying first class. It costs a lot of money. He cured me about 1.5 years ago. I've been flying first class. It's like the greatest thing in the world once you can get over the hump and just go, it's needed, okay? It is just needed. So as we wrap it up, I want to say this. Work desperately to sponsor your first 10 agents. Have a sense of urgency. You guys are doing that. And then don't let them see you sweat. I mean, be out there doing it. It's like a duck on a pond that looks serene going across the pond, but underneath that water, it's like, whoosh, little feet are jamming, okay? And then, constantly pull your leaders together and break bread with them. James, what do? We were, Kathy, remember James and Kathy? We would go to El Fernal, remember that? What's the first thing we did? We went to El Fernal, and we had all this food and wine, and we said the fires were roaring. And how many times have we done that kind of stuff? We started doing events. Gene and Rob were doing events, so we started doing events. And I would show up, and we would spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 getting guests there. Every time I went to an event, I was $50,000, $60,000. The one in August that didn't happen, I lost $220,000. I lost $250,000. I'm excited. I write it off of my taxes, but I invest money. Now, it didn't start that way. Like, well, you did. No, it was just James, Barry Mathis, and myself going to San Antonio to check out Glenn Sanford. I have a picture on my phone the first time I met Glenn, a selfie. I have one of Pat Hayes, and then we met all these people. Then we came back. And you know how many people we brought to the next one? 90. And we booked how many hotel rooms for the next event? 120 rooms. How about you? The business, when you get them to an event like this, it takes that 12-inch migration from your head to your heart. We understand the power of events like this. What finally got me to Keller Williams, they started bringing me to stuff. They were telling me, they started showing me. Quit telling people and start showing them. Learn to be a promoter. Learn to be a promoter. How many rooms do we get these days for events? We'll book 500, 600, 700 rooms. That's how you do it. And it gets fun and easy. Who likes slow and painful? Don't you love it, slow and painful? Who likes fast and furious, fast and fun? Anybody? Break bread with your people. People are dying for the community. They want to have a sense of community. Sponsor 40 in 6 months. It took me 8 months. Beat my record. You want to have what we have? Do what I did. Pick one day and quit bailing on that day. You know what I mean? Well, spend an hour Tuesdays from 4 to 5. And then you get busy. It's 5 and you got to go home and you miss it. I'll do it next week. Manana. How's that plan working for you? You have 200 or 300 agents. You should have 2,000 or 3,000. I'm telling you, you could be the example. The speed leader determines the pace of the pack. You don't like the way your group's growing? Did you sponsor 20 or 30 agents in the past 2 or 3 months? You don't even have a goal to do it. That's why you're not doing it. You can't hit a goal you don't have. Everything you touch turns to gold. When you have, right here, when you have the big mo, everything, I sponsored 4 this week and I wasn't even trying. Let go of your ego, sponsor, support, strategize, compete. I'll end with this. What does compete mean? Compete means you look around this room and you find somebody. Jeff and Marcy Willens did it. They chose AJ and Abby. AJ and Abby were beating them in rev share and group size, and they ran them down. They're pretty much neck and neck with AJ and Abby right now. But pick somebody. I picked Pat Hayes. Pat Hayes had 150 agents. I had none. He's a big, gregarious guy, big smile. Pat Hayes, love Pat Hayes. Nothing but respect, but I go, oh, I can catch him. I can catch him. I'm going to hustle. I'm a C student. I was denied a basic state college twice. I got in the 3rd time, then I dropped out and proved I'm right. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. I'm competitive. Anybody competitive? You ought to get upset with yourself. Find a runner and you go, I'm chasing them down. I'm going to run with them. And after I passed Pat, I go, okay, I'm going after Scott and Tracy. They had, I don't know, at the time I chose them, I think they had 1,700 agents, 1,200 agents. Pass them. And guess who I'm trying to pass now? I've said it out loud. My goal is to pass Gene and Rob. They have the biggest groups in their 7 levels. We just hit last Friday, how many? Over 9,000. How can you pass them? You're in their group. No. It's you're either a competitor or you're not. And it's just, I don't know what we're going to do when we pass them, and we will pass them. And Gene and Rob, if you're watching, anyways, but it's just fun. I don't know what. We're going to have to figure out the next after that. But I like to chase things. I'm like a dog, and I'm going to chase something, a butterfly. I don't know. But who are you chasing? Who's motivating you? Who has less talent and ability than you that's eating your lunch? Maybe it's Dan Hillman. He has like 350 agents in Atlanta. Dan's like, oh, man, I'm so excited about eXp Realty. I'm so excited. Here's my rev share thing, grew 10.8% last month, added 50 agents. Heck, at that rate, I'll add 600 in the next 12 months. Isn't that the darndest thing? I mean, you meet him, and you're like, man, he ain't me, but he's doing it. And I'm not, it's just, he's an Atlanta boy. He's a Southern boy. He sounds different, right? You think, well, I don't sound like Brent Gove. I don't say, be you. Be authentically you. Say it wrong. Mess up your PowerPoint. Get up there. Do whatever. Listen to me. Authenticity, people respond to it. Create a group. People are dying to be a part of a tribe, to be a part of a force, someone who's going somewhere. They want to be a part of it. Where are you going, man? How bad do you want it? I want your Kyle Whistle's foot go up and down. I don't know what to say to you guys. I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are the bad boys. And then I'll end with this, hustle and grit. Hustle and grit. How did we get to where we are? We made plans. We hustled. We sucked it up. We had things go wrong. Remember that first year? I mean, 1,200 in their gut. I mean, I personally had a broker in Reno who talked to me from eXp. Sorry, Glenn, but was he drunk? He was so hammered. And he's our eXp broker. And I'm like, James, he's hammered. He's like, oh my God, he's hammered. I mean, it was crazy. He had to get 50 brokers in all 50 states and 2 or 3. It was rough. There were potholes. We broke some axles. We took some arrows to the wagon. And right now the roads are paved, the on-ramps, the freeway, and you're going to kill it. We're going to open 5 countries a year. I have agents who had nothing going on. Now they're blowing up in India. They're blowing up in Mexico. They're like, well, it's not me yet. It will be you. Have some faith. Hustle and grit is how you get places in life. Thank you for having me on today.
I am jacked up, brother. That is awesome stuff. You know, it's funny, I used to, let me go stand in front of the camera and make sure I get some FaceTime over here. But, I used to go see Glenn. We used to lead with education. That was a big part of our early model, was leading with education. And I'll share a funny little side story. We used to go on these meetings and, Glenn would start telling somebody, he'd be like, well, you know what you should do with your business? You should do this and you should do that. And, maybe you should try this app or this program. And I'd sit there and I'd be like, Glenn, what are you doing, man? You're giving away the secret sauce. And he'd be like, yeah, Brian, we're here to help. And if they don't understand that we're here to help them, they're never going to join us. And I'd say, well, that's a pretty profound thought. And I remember kind of incorporating that into my own philosophy. But what he also said was, listen, they may get a few golden nuggets in that first 20, 30-minute conversation, but they're not going to implement everything that they learn. If they want to learn about how we do it, they got to come join us, and they got to do this all day, every day. And so, it's funny, when we would do those talks, Glenn would start we'd be doing these lead gen. Glenn, for those who don't know, was one of the top lead generators in the country. We had more top-ranked websites than anybody, pre-Zillow, pre-Google, or pre-Trulia. And he'd get all these people in this room, and they'd all be there to learn about lead generation. He'd go, okay, generating leads is the easy part. And the whole, every jaw would drop, and everyone would be like, oh, cripes. I don't even know how to generate leads. So I want to kind of build on that a little bit, because we're here all to learn about recruiting, right? Recruiting's the easy part, okay? First of all, the model's amazing. It's the model sells itself. And to be a good recruiter, you just got to be likable, right? You just got to be somewhat likable. If you're not likable, fake it. But the real hard part is building the duplication. It's finding out who your leaders are and empowering your leaders and getting them immersed. I was a philosophy student. I wasn't that good at school either. I wasn't certainly taking business classes or computer programming. I was taking ceramics and basketball classes and things like that. But one of the pieces of philosophy that I really liked, other than the student has to seek out the master, which is my core philosophy, is a good beginning is worth half of the whole. A good beginning is worth half of the whole. And so one of the things we really made a good point out of doing in those early years was getting people immersed, getting them into the model, getting them into the world. And so that first 30, 60, 90 days is so important. And that's why I want to introduce Ramon Casaus with Rockstar Alliance. Ramon is he was a broker. He's 20, how old are you now, 27? 27. He had built up a 50, 60 agent brokerage. By the time he was 26, he led with culture and social media. And just being an awesome guy. He brought over 60 agents, and now how many you got? 140 in what, about 60 days? Nice job. Ramon Casaus.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I'll need that. Thank you, Brian. First of all, just a quick background. I really want to get into some tangible takeaways, but just to learn a little bit about myself. I did start in real estate in 2016. I worked at, I think it was Brent that said, I worked at Remax for about 2 years, and why a lot of people leave the franchise model, just what I was paying for, the value proposition, my onboarding experience, it was non-existent. And so after that, exactly 2 years, I became the youngest qualifying broker in the state of New Mexico and grew the brokerage from our garage of 2 of us and then to 60 and moved over roughly about 2 months ago. So we are a little bit over 60 days. But I want to ask you a question before we start. There's this place, there's this destination, if anyone's ever been, it's called Independent Broker Island. Has anyone ever been there? You been there? So nobody comes to visit you on Independent Broker Island. So I want to make this clear is that do not take this type of event for granted. Because I think Brent said it, that 12-inch from your head to your heart, this is where the heart part happens, and this is where we take it back to our organization. So from somebody who just got off independent broker island, I can tell you it's a great feeling. With that said, in our company and me personally, I like to fly my own flag, but I'm an absolute team player. I have a giver's gain mentality with everybody, so if there's anything I can ever do to help anybody in this room, my door is 100% open. Just wanted to make that clear. Now, talking about, was I hitting this while I was talking? Oops. Oh, here we go. Okay, cool. So I think a lot of us have heard this create a wow experience, right? And I put that up there intentionally because it's pretty vanilla, to be honest with you. It doesn't really get you excited. Like, yeah, I've heard that 100 times. But I want you to think about this. We're all playing the long game. Would we agree with that? We're playing the long game. What type of standards as a leader are you setting in your own organization? Right? Because we're leaders and we're trying to attract other leaders. There is a law of diminishing returns. That means that if I'm the owner, I'm always like, man, how come my people don't care as much as I do? Well, because if you're functioning and setting the standard at 80%, they're gonna be at 60%. So it's very important from day one that you are setting the standard in the onboarding experience. It needs to be 120%. Think about this. Because when they go to recruit somebody else, the standard has been set about how we treat people when they come into our organization. They are a leader. So before you think about, oh, I have to maybe implement this onboarding experience, it's going to be tough, it's going to be hard, it's going to take away, think about the long-term effects of doing it. Now, for me, I was actually pretty good at this. I'm trying to be humble about it, but I'm pretty good. When you're an independent broker and you're 25 years old, there's two things you got to do. You got to grow facial hair because you're hiring people twice your age, and then you got to go fight every single day. And so you learn to get gritty and say, hey, what can I do when I'm recruiting somebody that's just different, right? And for me, it was the onboarding experience. What is one of the reasons why top producers hesitate? They hesitate to join an organization. What is it? They go, well, if I go, I might lose production. I might lose agents. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be uncertainty, right? Have we all heard those? Or at least they're not saying it, but they're feeling it. This is how you build a bulletproof plan to go, no. See, I'm not like everyone else where you just sign up and here you go. You're in my revenue share program. Thanks for joining. There's a clear-cut way that I'm going to establish your success and your integration to this new model. It's huge, but having that conversation up front is a big deal. Now, I'll get into the tangibles here. For me, I'm excited to go over this because not only was I actually new where I'm trying to figure all this shit out, but I had to also convey this to 60 brokers, which I met with individually one-on-one before we did this transition. So number one, don't stop selling the dream because you sold it to them for them to get into the door, right? Like you sold it, you were on fire, you had the Zoom calls, they talked to everybody in the organization, they're super excited. And then they sign up, and then you vanish. So you're sitting there, they're sitting there, they're going, what happened to the dream, man? We were talking all these big visions, and now I'm sitting with like 100 unread emails, and I don't know what the hell to do. Like, what happened? So don't stop selling the dream, and the way you sell the dream is always from the emotions. And that's what we call the silver bullet presentation. It's very, very easy, and if you listen to any good marketing, it usually follows this three-step process. It's identify what the heartache is or was that they were going through before they joined eXp. The help, which is how is eXp going to support your future? What are you going to do? What is the model going to do to actually help them? And then what's going to make them happy? Why are they doing all of this? And if you can relate it back to their happiness, I can promise you right now, it's going to work, but you're going to have to sell the dream to them again at some point. Because I want to ask you a question. Does anyone know what the best-selling hamburger in the world is? Anybody? McDonald's what, though? Absolutely not. It's the Happy Meal, man, because it's all about the happiness. And what's the number one emotional gateway into someone's heart? If they have them. The number one, if they have them. Their children. So you're paying for the Happy Meal. You don't really like Happy Meals, but what does a Happy Meal do for your kid? Makes them happy. And what makes you more happy than seeing your child happy? Nothing. So the little inconveniences like waiting in line, they don't got the toy, the kids are crying, I'll wait in that damn line as long as I have to get this Happy Meal. Why? Because it relates back to their happiness, and that's why they're doing it. So make sure that you don't stop selling the dream just because they signed up. You're going to have to do this throughout the onboarding process. Okay. Number 2, which was done very well for me, which means that eXp and the people, the organization I joined helped me with this a lot, and it's huge. But it's have the heart-to-heart up front, because there's no such thing as a perfect onboarding. Mine was far from perfect, which means that I just kind of didn't do as much due diligence as I thought. Sam, we had some good conversations, right? There was some speed bumps that came up, but one thing that Brian told me was that, hey man, there's going to be speed bumps, okay? And I want you to know something. When those speed bumps come, I'm here for you, bro. Like, we're going to get through whatever happens, and we're going to make sure we get through this together. But he also said something else interesting. We're going to get through this together. This isn't a just, you go figure it out, I'm here for you. But you have to set those expectations up front. And for me, I was one step removed because I was the qualifying broker, and I was doing more of the marketing, recruiting, the data. I wasn't really selling real estate. But for a lot of brokers, their number one fear is that, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm paralyzed. There's so much stuff going on. There's tech, there's this, there's that. But you need to tell them to breathe. This is not going to affect your ability to service your clients or go sell real estate. It is literally a transfer of license and new technology that's going to help you scale your business. It's a process, but we're going to get through it. Okay, it's not a light switch, it's a process. So identifying key contacts is where the anxiety and the uncertainty happens. They have to know, who is it? Who do they need to talk to when something goes south? When they have a question, and it needs to be clearly defined up front. For me, I never had any issues transferring 60 brokers, because when the time came for a question, I'm like, yeah, go email so-and-so. Like, that's what they're there for. And I can tell you right now that eXp Corporate did I was very impressed with the communication, the punctuality, and the clarity that they gave our organization. But who's it going to be? Is it going to be the state QB? Is it going to be corporate? Is it going to be someone within your organization? Make sure that when that question comes up, that they don't sit there, and what's the worst thing they can do is suffer in silence. They sit there and go, you know what? Ramon, man, that guy, revenue share. What am I, number what? And you just sign me up, and this is how I get hung out to dry. That's the last thing we want, and that's not what our intention is. But understanding who the go-tos are and making sure that's clearly conveyed to that agent, to that organization is huge. Okay? Number 4 is to show them the actual growth. Somebody reminded me, they're like, hey, have you looked at your revenue share chart yet? I'm like, no. I should really look at that. Once I did, I see something that wasn't there before. Hey, I didn't have that before I made this move, right? Brian did a very good job of facilitating. He knows what my goals and my ambitions are. In the first couple weeks, I was facilitated conversations with the exact people who I wanted to align with based on where I wanted to go. So start using your network to leverage them. Help them meet people. Help make introductions to if they want to go do international expansion, help get them acquainted with who's specializing in international expansion. Tell them when the actual calls are that are done monthly. Like, help them get to where they want to go. Shoot, even help them sponsor their first agent. Like, be there for the whole thing. It's like, see, man, I told you we were going to do this. But you have to keep selling that dream, but you have to be a part of it, okay? Now, this might sound a little, this sounds like I got to do a lot. Like, I got to be there every day. We have lives to live. You have organizations to run. You have new recruits to bring in. But this is the easy takeaways on how we're going to learn how to implement this, because this can't be a massive time suck into your business. We all understand that, right? The best onboarding processes, okay, especially with eXp, what I've seen is going to be to educate and communicate, okay? We want to teach them how to get involved in the eXp platform, how to get into enterprise, how to get into the cloud office, right? because that is the value proposition. So if they don't know how to get in there, they don't understand the value. The second one is communication, and that's standardized because it's not about when you have a question. It's about being there for them no matter what, whether they have questions or not, to check in, to see how things are going. Come from a place of what can I do for you in all of your communications. So make it simple. Don't overcomplicate the wheel. Focus on the fundamentals, on how you're going to implement it. You understand it, and they understand it. Number 2 is make it systematic, right? We want to schedule these things out ahead of time. We want to know exactly what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. Easy to track, easy to manage. Number 3, scalable. We're doing this at scale. So make sure that the inefficiencies, you have to work those out. Make it super personal. You got to remember, this is sales 101, but you have to bring up key details. You have to remember who they are, their organization, what state they're from, what city they live in, what's their kid who they keep talking about and bringing up, or the one that's running around while they're trying to do the Zoom call with you. Like, key details, but make sure they understand that you are there for them. And then make sure it's always service-oriented. Come from a place of a giver's gain mentality and what can I do for you? Now, with that said, coming from a giver's gain mentality, what I did was, I didn't make this, I'm not full disclosure, I didn't make this for you guys, but I figured I'd need it one day, and I think this is a great time to give it out. So what I did was, I had made a documentary of my entire transition. Like, from the first day I said, hey, I'm going to do this. Like, yeah, let's do it. This is my meetings with my admin teams, everything from marketing, onboarding, operations, growth and expansion, accounting, you name it. It's how we actually merged our offering to the eXp offering and how we systematically transferred 60 agents with a, unfortunately, 98% success rate. One guy just didn't get it. Just one guy. I even drove 3 hours downtown to a town down south, ate really bad Mexican food, and stayed at a Best Western hotel to meet with him in person, and he still didn't get it. But that's okay. We're still working on it. But that link right there, rockstaralliance.com/documentary, that's the entire thing, start to finish. The actual video, I don't think is branded. So if it is, like, just let me know. We get you one that's not. And then also, if Instagram's easier, it's in my Instagram bio too. But if you guys have any questions or need anything throughout the next couple days, I'm here for everybody. Thank you.
Who we got? Bobby? Bobby's up? Who's up next?
All right. Thank you. Take your shoes off. All right, I know. You wrapped up fast for a moment. I wasn't ready, so that was awesome. Give him a hand. Was that fantastic? Really, really good. So our next speaker, I'd never met before, but he came out of Southern California, a sunny little town called San Diego, and just a monster of a guy. He's the reason we're all going to the Hyatt Ziva in February for Cabo, because when you sell $300 million a year in sales, and you've been to every resort in Cabo like 10 times, he goes, the Hyatt Ziva was their favorite place with multiple restaurants, super all-inclusive, first class, and that's all I needed to hear. So we booked the Hyatt Ziva. I don't know if you know that, Kyle, because of you. But he's definitely, if not the top agent at eXp, he's right there, top 2 or 3, if not the top. But he's built a huge business. I think over 1,000. Are we up to 1,000 agents or past that? So I got to get in touch with I have him in my ivory tower or whatever. How many agents do you have now? 11. Trust me, I know I'm over 9,000, right? It's like, don't say I'm at 8. I'm over 9, right? Anyways, he's an amazing human being. You will love him. He spoke last year at an event, and he crushed it. So enjoy from San Diego, California, Mr. Kyle Whistle. Give him a hand, everybody. Nice shoes.
While this documentary thing is up here, I want to touch on this real quick because Kenny Fast, he's probably going to smoke Brent and Rob and Gene and everybody because this dude's insane. He did one of the coolest things, and it wasn't necessarily intentional when he joined eXp, but it was one of the most brilliant things looking back in hindsight. Kenny, the previous brokerage he was with, just randomly one day decided, like, we're done. We're just going to shut the doors. And they had to scramble and figure out where the hell they were going to go. If you guys don't know Kenny posts. Did you know there's a limit on how many stories you can post a day on Instagram? Like, this guy has a phone just for Instagram only, and he bounces off this. Apparently, you can post 100 a day, and Kenny's like, waiting, can I post another? Can I post another? Can I post another? It's insane. But what he did that was really brilliant is he interviewed how many brokerages? He interviewed 17 different brokerages, and he documented the entire thing, the entire way through. Every time he's like, what's up, guys? I'm here. I'm meeting with Keller Williams. I'm going to meet with so-and-so. They're going to tell me about this and that. And he would show himself walking into the office, and then he'd walk back out of the office. And then he would shoot another video. I'm like, all right, I just got done meeting with Keller Williams. Here's what they're all about. Here's what they offered me, blah, blah, blah. And he just did that over and over and over and over again. And then at the end of the day, he made the right decision, right? He picked eXp. But now guess what happened is he's got tens of thousands of followers on Instagram that all trust what he says. And they're like, if Kenny interviewed 17 different brokerages and ultimately decided that eXp was the right one for him to join, that's probably where I need to be joining. And it's why he's on a rocket ship, just like you are, my man. Like, he's on fire. So that's just a cool little story to think about, talking about like the experiences that somebody's been through before they make that decision. Because you guys are all here, like, you guys are all icons in this industry, and people realize that if you did something, it's probably a good decision, and they trust in you. I'll give you a prime example. I'm not like Brent. I bought an RV, I bought a boat, and I bought a dune buggy this summer because I didn't have anywhere to travel to, so might as well spend some of this damn money. But I went and I had 2 RVs that I had like locked in on. One was a Class A, one was a Class C. I could not find the Class A that I wanted because RVs are like houses right now. As soon as it hits the RV Trader or whatever website, it's gone the same day, just like a house is gone the same day. So I couldn't find the Class A that I wanted, but I found the Class C that I wanted. And it was in like Bakersfield. If you guys don't know where it is, don't worry, you don't ever want to go there. It's where people go to die. Terrible place. Sorry if anybody's from Bakersfield. It's great. No, it's really great. So drove up to Bakersfield, found this RV, put a deposit down. We're like, all right, this is the one we're going with. Sweet, we got our RV. I came home, and the next day I woke up in the morning and I got an alert on OfferUp, and it was the Class A, the exact one that I wanted, 5 minutes from my house. And I was like, shit, I already paid for this Class C, but the Class A that I want, which is the one that I really want, which is number 1 on my list, just became available. I was like, I have to go look at this thing. So I drove, I looked at it, and I was like, this is perfect, I want it. So then I paid for that one. And I called my wife, I was like, hey babe, I don't know what to do, but I just paid for 2 RVs. Somehow I gotta unwind this first RV, because we don't need 2 RVs. So I'm gonna call the dealer and figure out how I unwind this deal. And she's like, hold on. I'm with our friends Spiro and Kendra, they wanna buy an RV too, and they said they'll take the other one. I was like, what do you mean they'll take the other one? They're like, well, they know that if we were gonna buy that other one, that it's a good RV, so they're just gonna buy it. We're in that position in this industry, guys, where people look up to us, they trust us. They know that if we're gonna go through and we're gonna vet things, right? Like, I probably spent 15 hours researching freaking RVs, and they knew that. So they knew that if I made the decision to buy that RV, it was a good RV, so they rolled with it. Just like they realized Kenny spent hours and hours and hours going and interviewing 17 different brokerages and realized that eXp was the right brokerage for him. And people are like, well, if Kenny spent all that time and he researched them and he met with them, he just saved me a lot of time. I don't have to go meet with all 17 of those brokerages. I'm just gonna roll with it and roll with eXp. So think about that. How could you implement that into your business? Maybe you're already here, right? But maybe you could think back about your journey and you could think about all the different brokerages that you interviewed. Now, something that you'll learn is, my talk's gonna be about being a leader. You never want to like slam the other brokerages. You don't want to talk a lot of shit. It's not a good thing. But you could say, hey, I met with this brokerage. They were amazing. You know, here was their model. Here's why I didn't go with them. I met with this brokerage. Here was their model. This is why I didn't go with them. And you put something together. You put a documentary together and you share that. That's magic. Because people look up to us. They look up to you. They look up to you. So think about putting something like that together. It wasn't part of my talk, but I saw documentary up there and it just kind of got my wheels turning. Oh, cool, I'm gonna roll. Is there any way to pull up the slides that I updated this morning on Google Slides? I can run with these, but if you can update them, that would be rad. Holy shit. That's scary. You take a lot of screenshots. We'll get it rolling. Just to give you my background, I run a team in San Diego. We have 30 agents currently. We're at $250 million in volume right now. I have 43 FLAs. I have just under 1,200 total agents in my revenue share group. That revenue share group right now is growing over 100 agents a month. It's something that's insane. I remember coming to these events 2 years ago and seeing where Brent was at and seeing his screenshots and be like, I'm gonna get there, and now I'm there. Our group, and this is something we'll talk about in this leadership thing, is we have a group, then we call it Fast Forward. What Fast Forward is all about is that we all have these goals in life. We all have these places that we want to get to. Something that's been on my dream board for a long, long time is to get to $1 million a year in passive income. And now, we could all get to $1 million a year in passive income. There's a lot of ways that we could do it. What's the way that most of us realtors want to do it? Is we want to go buy a bunch of rental properties, right? Like that's how we decide, I'm going to get there, I'm going to buy rental properties. Well, in this market, I mean, if you go buy a rental property right now, you put $100,000 down, you're lucky if you're making like 10 grand a year on that. I mean, if you're killing it, you're making 10 grand a year. But let's just assume somehow you make 10 grand a year on that rental property. If I want to get to $1 million, I got to buy like 1,000 of these things to ever get to that number. 1,000, it's going to take me $100,000 to buy each one of those. That's insane. Like, I could get there. It's going to take me my entire lifetime to get there. But one of the reasons that we made the move to eXp is we saw the opportunity to fast forward that ability to hit that goal. And 2.5 years into this thing, and we'll hit that over the next 12 months, which is crazy. Like, to think about making $1 million a year in passive income, like, that's so freaking insane. But that's an opportunity that we have, guys. It's something that's truly, truly there for you. One of the things, this is fun, well, I just wing it while they pull this up. One of the things that I've been really obsessed with lately is thinking about retirement and using the example of what kind of life do we want to live when we get to that retirement age, and helping people understand the opportunity of eXp by kind of backing into it. So what I want to encourage you guys to do, I want you to write this stuff down. Think about what kind of money do you want to make when you're in retirement, when you decide, like, I'm done, I don't want to sell houses anymore, I don't want to die while door knocking, I'm done, like, I just want to pull the plug. Like, what is that number for you? And who wants to be my guinea pig? Somebody just give me a number. Don't all jump at once. Somebody? Anybody? Fix, what's your number, man? What do you want to make when you retire? How much annually? Okay, what is it? $2 million a year, okay. So if you want to make $2 million a year in retirement, there's something called the 4% rule. The way this 4% rule works is it says that whatever the value of your portfolio is at the point in which you retire, you can take 4% of that money out annually without running out of money through the rest of your life. So if his number is 2 million, if his number is $2 million bucks, and he wants to make that on an annual basis, what you do is you take that number and you multiply it by 25. That's the way that this works. So if he wants to make $2 million a year in retirement, that means he has to save $50 million. What's that? No, it's times 25. Yeah, it's times 25, because if you take 4% of 25 million, or 50 million, that's $2 million a year. Okay, so how many years till you retire? In a perfect world? 20? 10? 5? Okay, so you got two choices. If you want $2 million a year, and you have two options here. You can save $50 million. That means you got to save $10 million a year. Can you do that selling houses? You don't sell, okay. Do you have a team that sells? Can your team make enough money to let you bank $10 million a year over the next 5 years? Not realistic, right? How many agents do you have to recruit? Somebody might need to use a calculator for this, but divide 2 million by $800. Somebody do the math on that for me. I think it's like 2,400, 2,500 actually to be exact. What's going to be easier for Felix? Is it going to be selling enough homes to make $10 million a year to put in the bank every single year over the next 5 years? Or bringing in 2,500 agents? Right? That's going to be a lot easier. I mean, Dan Beer and I collectively, we've both done that equally at this point. Like, that's what's possible in this company is he could recruit 2,500 agents or save $10 million a year for the next 5 years. The opportunity is so easy. If you sit down with most people, what they're going to tell you is that their magic number, I want to make like $100,000 a year in retirement. Like that's most people's magic number. I don't know why everybody has this like $100,000 bar. So if you want to make $100,000 a year, you got to have $2.5 million in retirement savings. Most people are like 20 years out from when they want to retire. So at that point, they got to save $125,000 a year to get that $2.5 million, or they could just recruit 125 agents into eXp. What's going to be easier, saving $125,000 a year for 20 straight years, or bringing 125 people into the company? It's so much easier to do that 125. So I just want to use that example while I bullshit time while we get the slides loaded up. Is just, that's an exercise that's been really, really good for me lately, is just to help people understand that just a little bit of work on the agent attraction side can literally help you accomplish your retirement goals in a fraction of the time period that it would take to do it the traditional way of saving 125 grand a year for 20 years to make 100 grand in retirement. It's crazy, the opportunity that we have. All right, so what I want to dive into, we're going to talk a little bit about leadership. John Cheplack is somebody that I love, I look up to. I strongly encourage you guys to follow him. And Glenn, while we love the model, and I think the model's amazing, and you're amazing, and all of that stuff, Cheplack said this in a few different ways, but I kind of summarized it. People don't join for the model. They join for the community and the leadership. And what's the proof of that? There's thousands and thousands of brokerages all across the country. If there was a perfect model, everybody would be there, right? Nobody would be at Keller. Nobody would be if we were the perfect model, everybody would be here, but they're not. Right? We got a long ways to go. Now, I think everybody will be here, and the smart ones will, but if there was a perfect model, everybody would just go there. But this thing is, people don't go because of the model. They go because of the community, and they go because of the leadership, right? Well, who's our leadership in this room? We've got Glenn here, we've got Brent, we've got James, like we have amazing leaders. We have Sam and like Jeff back here, like Curtis Johnson. There's some amazing leaders in this room. These people, Marcy, like these guys are amazing. These are part of the reason that we're here. They're part of the reason why we're at this company. Are we here because of the 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap? No. I could go to, Mark's old brokerage. It was 100%. I pay him $3 grand a year and I get 100% of every deal. People don't go for the model, they go for the community and the leadership. And you need to keep that in mind as you're building out your organizations is, what kind of community are you creating? And how are you leading that community? I want you guys to really, really think about that, because that's what keeps people engaged. That's what keeps people a part of your organization. I have agents that are on my team that literally never need me. They need no support from me. They don't use any of my systems. They don't need anything, but they stay with me. I have agents who've been with me 10 years. They don't need me anymore. They sell more than I do. But they stay with me because of the community and the leadership. So think about that as you guys are building stuff out. Be really, really conscious of the community that you create and be conscious of the leadership. Props to you guys at eXp for putting this on, because we've all been putting these events on. So it's awesome that you guys are understanding the value of these smaller, higher level masterminds. These things are so powerful. So I'm stoked that you guys are putting these together. This is just you guys showing that leadership. And then the quality of the leadership that you guys are bringing in is next level. Like Michael Valdez, that dude is insane. He is so smart, and he's going to do amazing things with this company. I know that we're stoked to launch Mexico. Mexico is going to be fire. I don't know if you guys know this. You don't even need a license in most of Mexico, so I have no idea how the hell you guys are figuring that out, but it's going to be fun. But the leadership that you guys are bringing in is amazing, and that's part of what keeps us here. The leadership we had 2 years ago was good. The leadership we have now is next level. And that high level leadership is something that's going to keep us a part of this company. It's going to keep us happy. And then when they do events like this, they're building community when they do events like this. So think about, what are you doing within your organization to build community? What are you doing to lead? How are you, stepping up your leadership? One of the most impactful coaching calls I ever had, I was talking to my coach, and he asked me, hey, over the last 12 months, how much money have you spent learning how to generate more leads? How much money have you spent going to conferences to learn how to close more deals? How much money have you spent on new systems to generate leads and new tools to convert leads? Like, how much money have you spent on that? And we ran through the numbers and we figured it out. And then he said, how much money have you spent figuring out how to be a better leader? How much money have you spent going to conferences focused on leadership? And I was like, shit, I haven't spent anything. We get so focused on the deals. We get so focused on figuring out how do I sell 1 or 2 more homes? How do I increase my conversion rate from 2 to 3%? That we lose sight of the reason that people join us, which is our leadership. We get so deep in the weeds trying to figure out how do I apply this new system or this new app or this fancy new script, and we're so obsessed with that, and we're spending all of our time and all of our energy and all of our effort figuring that stuff out, when in reality, we should be spending way more time figuring out how to do this stuff, because this is what's going to this is what gets people to join, and more importantly, it gets people to stay around. So I want to encourage you guys to focus on it. This is another quote. You guys stuck me with this one, but I liked it. So ask not what you can do for your country, ask what your country can do or ask what you can do for your country. It's a JFK quote, and I think this is brilliant, and this is what we want to really challenge all of you with, is think about what are you doing for your organization? Are you just bringing people in and be like, all right, got them, and then going and getting the next person and going and getting the next person? Because here's what's happening behind you. There's just this path of destruction behind you. And you worked your ass off to get these new people, and you got them, and then you're just letting them fall by the wayside because you're not doing anything for them. You're like a 21-year-old college guy, right? You're just going out there tearing stuff up and making a huge mess behind you. Don't be like that. Think about what can we actually do for these people, because getting them over, that's hard. Getting them to stay is harder, and that's the more important part. So I want to go to a couple tactical things that you guys can be doing, things that I want to challenge you to think about a little bit more. Number one is the onboarding experience. First impressions are everything in all things in life, whether it's the first impression when somebody pulls up to a house or what you look like when you roll up to that first date. First impressions are everything. So think about, what does that onboarding experience look like when you bring somebody into your organization? One of the realizations that Dan and I had not too long ago is that we looked at our real estate company and we're going through our P&Ls, figuring out what's our margins look like, and if we can run our companies at a 20% margin, 20% profit margin, we're stoked. We're like, hey, this was perfect. We're right on track with where we want to be. And then we stopped and we took a look and we're like, what kind of margin are we running our eXp business at? Fucking 100? Really? We're happy over here at 20%, but then we're trying to run this business at 100%? Something's fundamentally flawed there, right? Why are we not investing money into this company, which is now more profitable for me than this company over here? Why are we not investing anything into it? So what does our onboarding experience look like? Are we putting a cheap, shitty Google Doc together and sending it over and be like, here you go, dude, here's how to get started? Or are we investing in things like a Thinkific, a Trainual, Teachable, some solid, they call them LMSs, learning management systems? Are we actually taking the time to build out a badass LMS so that when somebody comes over, they know exactly what to do? They know all the key contacts to talk to. They know exactly how to get their KV Core account set up, how to get their Regis membership. Not here's a link, just this giant Google sheet with 100 links on it. Or are we actually building step-by-step videos, walking them through every step of the process as they come on board and getting people going? Because while FLAs are cool, FLQAs are way freaking cooler, right? If they're not producing, not that they're not worth anything to us, but they're not worth a lot. FLQAs is where it's at. Well, let's build a badass LMS out so that we can not only get them on board, provide an amazing experience for them, but get them into production as fast as possible. Because I don't care what my FLA number is, in all honesty. It's all about what that FLQA number is. So invest some money, invest some time into building out an LMS to bring people on board and provide an amazing experience for them so they have a great first impression, and you get them into production as quick as possible. So don't be afraid to spend some money on this thing. Zillow leads are going good? 20 grand, there you go. But then we don't want to go spend $100 a month on Trainual? That's crazy. There's something fundamentally wrong there. So I want to challenge you to look at how you've been running your eXp organization, and are you trying to run this thing at 100% profit? Because if you are, you're missing a lot of opportunity. You're not investing in your business. You're not building a good community. You're not being a good leader. Think about what can you invest into your business. Second up is create a community. You need to build a community of all of your people. Within our group, we have 2 communities. So again, I told you our group is called Fast Forward Movement. We have one group that's for everybody, and then we have a secondary group that's just for our generals. If you guys aren't familiar with the wealth chart, strongly encourage you to watch, just go on YouTube and Google eXp wealth chart. I think Rob Flick was the original person who brought it up, and Jay Kinder's done versions, and we've done versions, and a lot of other people have built out those versions. But one of the key things on that wealth chart is your generals. These are your badass, most important people, whether it's they're producing a lot or they're attracting a lot of people. So within our fast forward movement, which is all of our people, we also have a generals group. In order to be a general in our group, you have to either have 10 FLAs or $50 million in production. Now, Brent talked about you need to have some competition. There's got to be some competition out there. Well, now you set that mark. Just like they set the mark for this event, they created competition by doing this event and saying, first 50 people to get 3 FLAs are in. Is there anybody in here who got a little extra motivation because they didn't want to miss out, because they wanted to be a part of it, right? It pushed all of us. So create that extra, not just your overall group, because everybody, again, wants to be a part of a community, but now create this special, exclusive community only for those that are your generals. So again, for us, it's 10 FLAs or 50 million in production. Now we have a separate little side group that people know about, but they don't get to be a part of it. People hate that shit. People hate knowing there's this group that they're not a part of, that only the really high-level people are a part of. They all want to be a part of that group. People are hitting me up, hey, I'm almost there, can you let me in? No. You got 10? No. You got 50 million? No. What does that do? The people that are going to be a part of that group, they're not the ones that are going to go cry in the corner and curl up in a little ball. They're the people who are going to come out swinging, and then 1 month later, they're going to hit me up like, boom, hey, I'm at 12, let me in. Those are the kind of people that you want. And so then we have separate little masterminds that we do just for the people that are part of that generals group. And those are where Dan Beer and I, we go super high level. Like that's where we're going, showing like Dan showing his P&L, like doing super, super high level stuff that you're not gonna just do for the general organization that you've built. So make sure that you create a community for everybody, but make that elusive, that like sought after community that only certain people are going to get into, and make everybody want to be a part of it and do special things for them. We just invested a few $1,000s in swag. We got hats, we got mugs, we got shirts. We need to get rid of this shit because there's going to be a new logo in like 5 days. So we got to unload this if anybody wants some. You got to drive to San Diego and pick it up or pay postage and handling. But invest in some swag, and now it's like, hey, when you make it and you get to be a part of this generals group, now you get a sweet swag bag. Well, guess what happens? We start sending these swag bags out to people. They're posting pictures saying, hey, thanks so much for my bag. This is awesome. Now guess what happens? Other people are hitting it up like, hey, how do I get a swag bag? 10 FLAs, $50 million in production. Did you hit that? No? Okay, let me know when you do. We'll send some swag your way. It's crazy what happens when you do that stuff. All right, there we go. Educate and empower. So I want to make sure that you guys are consistently doing everything that you can to educate and empower your group, constantly be adding value, and really try to keep it focused on selling more homes. Because here's what I've learned, is the #1 way to attract agents into eXp is to sell a shitload of houses. One of the main reasons people hit me up and want to join eXp is they're like, you sell $250 million a year. Like, how the hell do you do that? I want to learn from you. That's why people hit us up. Jeremy Larson, who's part of our group, we met him at a Zillow Unlock event 2 years ago. He sold $8 million 2 years ago. And he's somebody who leans on us heavily. We're constantly sharing with him. He's flying down to our office. We're opening the doors. We tell all of our people, if you're in San Diego, come down. You can come in our office. You could sit in our meeting. Let's learn. Let us share with you. 1 year later, starts building a team, 30 million. 1 year later, he's going to do over $100 million this year. That's fucking phenomenal. And now, and now guess what's happening? His main competitor that I met 2 years ago came to one of my events, and he was like, oh yeah, I heard Jeremy came over, and basically was like, oh, Jeremy's so cute. Yeah, he sells a couple homes, he's cute. Now he's hitting Jeremy up like, hey, tell me about this eXp thing. Because Jeremy's smoking his ass right now. Now people are hitting him up because he's selling a shitload of homes. So help your people sell a shitload of homes, and now they can't avoid agent attraction. People are going to start hitting them up. It's not an option anymore. When you go from 8 million to 100 million in 2 years, people want to know how the hell you did it. They want to have conversations with you. They're knocking on your door. You're not having, no offense, you're not having to sit there for 3 hours on a Friday afternoon, because on my calendar is PTO, and it's in yellow because that's when I drink my beer. I'm not having to make calls for 3 hours. He's spending 3 hours following up on all the leads that have come in because people want to find out what the hell he's doing. So what are you doing to educate and empower your group to go out there and sell more homes? Because that's what's going to help them naturally grow. And then number 4, like Brent said, events are key. Events, events, events. We just finished up an event where we rented out a house. This is something that I love doing. These hotel events are awesome, and I love hotel events. But something we started, we have a video course we teach called Media Mayor Mastermind. And what we do is we rent out a killer house, usually a multi-million-dollar house. And we rented an $8 million house out for this event. We invited all of our generals in, and then we allowed them to invite guests in to come to this event. Now, we went hardcore. We literally made every single person get a COVID test. The crazy part was there were people who flew in from around the country, showed up at the airport, got in an Uber, told the Uber driver, like, hey, I need you to drive through this parking lot over here real quick, roll in the parking lot, get the old swab in the nose on a rapid results, wait 20 minutes, get the results, and then we were letting them in the house. Like, think about being that Uber driver. Like, wait, you need me to do what? Like, that's kind of crazy, like having to be an Uber driver and having people getting COVID test in your Uber car. Like, that would freak me the hell out. That would make me question my career path. But we did this event. We had 50 people come in. It was about 40 people that are already part of our group, 10 guests. I believe 8 out of the 10 guests that were there have all come over. The 8 guests that were there collectively is over 100 agents. Did it cost us some money to do it? Yeah, it cost us like 20 grand to put the event on. It was an $8 million house. It was expensive. We did this sick, like, Benihana dinner in the backyard. We created a cool experience for everybody that was there. But guess what? You do a cool experience, everybody's taking pictures. They're posting, Kenny probably posted like 62 stories about the dinner, right? Like, everybody's, posting on social media, sharing it, and everybody's like, hey, how do I get in that mastermind? What is that? What were you guys doing? It's sparking up conversations naturally. And everybody who was there closed. And now I'll let you guys know this little trick of how we ran this event. Dan and I did zero preparation. None. We're the kind of guys who like to wing it, right? Like, my slides don't work, I'll just tell stories for an hour. But there's this format, and I love this format, and it originated in bars where a bunch of people would show up, real estate agents would show up at a bar together, and everybody would say, like, I could talk about Zillow leads, I could talk about door knocking, I could talk about expireds, and then everybody's like, yeah, let's talk about that, and let's talk about that. And that guy and that girl would share what they know about those things. It's called bar camp. So we ran just an updated version of Bar Camp. So everybody who showed up to the event, they wrote down on a little Post-it, not a little big Post-it, they wrote down a topic that they were comfortable speaking on, something that they're really good at, something they're really strong at. Put them all up on the wall. And then everybody got to go and put 3 tally marks up. Whichever topics they wanted to hear about, they would put tally marks on it. And then very, very simple. The group just spoke and said, these are the topics that we want to hear about. So rather than having to guess at what everybody that's there wants to hear about, they're telling you, they're putting the tally marks. So now it's like, all right, hey, Kenny, get up and share how you post 100 stories a day and tell the story of how you interviewed 17 brokerages and put the entire thing on Instagram. Teach us how to do Instagram stories. Hey, Jeremy, everybody wants to hear about how you went from 8 million to 100 million in 2 years. It's fantastic. We didn't have to come up with the content. Everybody there, the community created the content. And they got the content that they wanted to hear. It was a really, really powerful event. So again, 8 out of the 10 guests that were there, which are all team leaders, one person even runs a Keller Williams Market Center, 8 out of 10 have already closed, and we're confident the other 2 will close. Events are huge. And now here's the cool part, and I think it's going to be one of the slides at the end. I'll save it actually till the end. But Brent's got a huge event coming up, right? He's going to tell you guys about this Cabo trip. Hopefully you guys all love High Aziva as much as we did, because if not, I'm going to feel like shit. But High Aziva is awesome. It's a cool resort. You guys are going to have a blast down there. So that event's coming up. When they open the floodgates and allow more people in, don't even think, just book 10 rooms. Figure it out. I learned on Black Friday, that's how it works. When you go Black Friday shopping, and you're like, do I want the TV? Do I not? Some chick's gonna come in there and just give you an elbow to the throat and take the TV from you. Don't let that happen. Just buy the damn TV. You can always return it. You can always figure it out. Just book your tickets, book the hotel rooms. You're not gonna bring people down to Cabo and get exposed to a room like this and really high-level education, and they get to go have drinks with Brent Gove, they get to go have drinks with Kenny Fast and Marcy and Jeff Williams, like, they get to hang out and have drinks with those people, meet Chuck and Fazio, like, they're gonna get to hang out with those people and be like, oh, this is my community. This is what I need. Because most brokerages right now, they're not doing shit. They're doing nothing. Are any of your friends posting about going to mega camp or family reunion or any of that? Hell no, they're not doing anything. Berkshire doing a conference? Nope, nobody's doing shit. We're doing events. We're putting stuff together. We're creating community. There's a reason that we're hockey sticking right now, because we're creating the community that people want to be a part of. What are other things that you can do? Half the ideas I come up with are just watching what other people do. Watch what other leaders in this organization do. The whole crew down in Orlando, they're doing a lot of cool shit. They're doing some amazing stuff with recognizing people and the events that they're doing. I'm watching what they're doing. And I'm figuring out, hey, is this a fit for what we do? Right? Like Jesse and Jackson, they're doing some cool shit with video and how they're giving back with that. Like, I'm watching what they're doing. Watch what other people in this room are doing. Because people are going to tell you what they do, but you got to watch what they're doing, because what they're actually doing is what you should be doing in your business. So I challenge you, watch what we're doing. And take that, R&D it, rip off and duplicate, and implement that into your business. And then the last thing, what I want to leave you guys with, true leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. So when we finished that mastermind a few weeks ago where we had 50 people, 5 people are already planning their own events. They're like, I want to do this event in Virginia. I want to do this event in Northern California. I want to do this event in Arizona. That's the magic of this thing, right? Because I got inspired to do events because I went to one of Brent's. And now he's out here like, oh, now Kyle's doing an event. Now Kyle's doing an event, and now Jeremy's gonna go do an event. And now Kenny's gonna go do an event. Now we're creating other leaders out there, right? John and Mayer, they're gonna go do events, right? Everybody's gonna start doing their own events now. Now they're gonna get 50 people at an event, bring 10 new teams on. And then they're gonna get 10 people at an event, or 50 people at an event, bring 10 new teams on. Now you start to create other leaders, and that's where the magic happens of being a true leader.
Awesome job. Thank you, Kyle Whistle, man. Isn't he great? I told you, he's brilliant mind. Now, some of you are going, you hear what he did, you're like, I can't rent an $8 million house, and I can't. There you go again. You're getting beat up. John Chatblack is amazing. I've heard the most amazing things from him. You're like, well, I can't speak. Bring John Chatblack in. All of you could hire John Chatblack. He's a hired gun, 10 grand. Well, I don't have to. 10 people who would give $1,000 is how much? 10 grand. 20 who give 500 is how much? 10 grand. Do an event with 20, 30 people. You could charge $350 each. You got John Chatblack, but he will rock your world and change your life. You don't have to be a Kyle Whistle. You don't have to be a Vincent. Was it Vincent, right? First name? Victor? Close. Sorry. Anyways, but you don't have to be these people. You can bring in the speaker. Does that make sense? And then you can put on these events and grow and make it happen. So I love that. Well, our next speaker is somebody I met about almost 20 years ago, Craig Proctor event. And there's a guy in the back of the room speaking up and taking charge. And he's just a baller. Loved him at Craig Proctor. We became friends. He started a coaching company. And prior to that, he'd have me fly out to his office in Tucson and train his team. Had a blast with his team. And he sells hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. He and his wife, Marcy, sell. It's really Marcy, and Jeff just sits back and drinks coffee and does the marketing, and they both do together. A beautiful couple. I've got to golf with them. He'd fly me out. Pretty much I just go for golf and hang out with them at Fleming's and have a good time. But when I saw this, my first list of 5, 6, 7 people, the short list, Jeff and Marcy were right on there. And I called them immediately, and they found a way to get out of their franchise in a month. And here we are just a number of years later, and they have over 2,400 agents and broker associates throughout the United States and Canada and probably around the world. One day they'll have 24,000. It's going to happen. It's going to happen for all of you if you just stay focused, have fun, love your people. So help me welcome Jeff and Marcy Williams from Tucson, Arizona. Going to share with you. Here he comes. Or Jeff Williams. Here you go, buddy. Have fun.
What do you guys think? Is this good stuff? Thanks, Brent. By the way, I just got to say that I kind of who's watched the movie 8 Mile? Eminem. After what I've heard from the last 3 speakers, I feel like that guy that has to follow Eminem. You know, when he got up there and he started rapping and doing all this stuff, and there was just nothing left to say, and the guy comes up and he grabs the microphone and he just drops it on the stage because he's afraid. That's kind of me right now, because you guys have already hit on all of the really great points. I'm going to try to bring a little bit. I guess, Kyle, you young guys use the term fire. I'm going to try to bring a little of that fire. I'm getting ready to turn 55. I don't know if there's a lot of fire that I can bring, but I'm going to work on that, man. But who's picked up some great stuff in the last 2-3 speakers, huh? Right? This is what I will say. All you have to do before I get to go real deep in managing expectations is that Kyle mentioned R&D, rip off and duplicate. All we've really ever done is find out what was successful for guys like Rob Flick and Gene Frederick and Sheila Fageron and Brent Gove, and they put all of these pieces together for us, you know. And obviously prior to that, you had Brian and Glenn, and Glenn, thank you for everything that you've done. I mean, let's give Glenn another round of applause. I mean, Glenn and I we were doing a little chatting, and he was gracious enough. What guy? I mean, honestly, I feel so lucky that I could actually hit Glenn up on Workplace, and we were just sending a private message, and I think I saw something that where you guys used to call each other blockheads when you first had the platform, right? And your heads were like blockheads or whatever. Blockhead to billionaire right there, huh? I mean, seriously, to billionaire, that is big stuff. So I'm like, you've come a long way, right? And it's, I've just got to pinch myself when I think about that. You guys are in the room, you're in the presence of greatness. Do you realize that? I mean, you're in the presence of greatness. I know Glenn won't ever say that, but he's literally playing chess when the rest of our industry's playing checkers. And Marcy and I have been in this business for, well, I won't date ourselves, but he just talked about 20 years. We've been there, we've done that, we've kind of got the t-shirt, we've made lots of mistakes, we've seen the market ebb and it flows, it ebbs, it flows. Right now we're in a really good time. In terms of, listings, I mean, it's hard to get listings right now, a little harder when the market's really tough. A lot of people use they just think they don't need a real estate agent. They think that they can just do it themselves, or they can just call their neighbor or whatever. So it's a little harder to get listings, but there's lots of buyers, and then they get into these multiple bidding wars and stuff. You're going to see the market shift again at some point, and then that's when they really hire experts, right? I mean, so we have seen run the whole gambit. When we saw the market shifting, we went in and got in the REO world. We knew nothing about that. But you go out and you find the right people. And here's my lesson behind this. You find the people that know what they're talking about. They already have it figured out. And then you just get in with the crew. You're in with the crew. You guys qualified to be in with this crew. And now all you've got to do is I would do everything I can to get this guy over here, Rob. By the way, let's give Rob a really big hand for what he's done, right? Guys, he's running, you guys don't know this, he's running 3 of these at the same time today. He's got people in all, Rob, we appreciate everything that you do. But I want a copy of this so then we can send it to everybody in our group, because this is powerful when you can listen to people give you nuggets. So I want to talk a little bit about managing agent expectations. Obviously people tend to rise to the level of the expectations that you have for them, right? So if you come into a relationship, you bring somebody into the organization, You got to tell them how great they're going to do. You've got to instill confidence with them, right? You got to make them feel good about their decision to join you and to be your business partner. If you don't make them feel good and you don't make them feel like that they can do it, they're not going to do it. So you got to manage their expectations, right? You got to make them feel good. Tell them how great they're going to be. Get them get excited. Do you think Brent has some enthusiasm when he's up here? Right? I gotta get myself pumped up oftentimes because I'm sitting here going, God, man, what else can I do? I mean, I'm feeling like at times that I need to just trim my sails a little bit and just slow down a little bit. And then I just ran into Don Yoakum out there and we were talking about this a little bit. And I didn't know that it was even possible to get me charged up again. I'm kind of going through this little midlife thing and, woe is me, a couple $1 million in stock and, 6 figures a month in rev share, 500 homes a year. Like, what the hell else is there for us to do? And I'm literally feeling this right now. And I know some of you guys are probably going, is this guy stupid or what? They'd love to be in this position. And I'm a little bored with my life right now. I'm excited again because I'm listening to you guys. I'm going, holy shit, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. So now I'm kind of like, thank you. Thank you for Brent for pushing me to come up here, because what that did for me is it got me excited. I'm really excited for the next speakers that are going to come up here, and I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time because I still swear I feel like that guy from the M&M thing. I just want to tell you that when we started, there were some really bumpy roads. When we got into this deal, we felt like that there were so many problems back then. December 1, 2016, they were going through some serious growing pains in the company. We were the first really big team to come over, right? But when we made the decision to leave RE/MAX, which was a big decision at the time, all we heard about was, well, wait a minute. We'll give you a 5-year extension on your contract. We'll just give you you guys just stay with RE/MAX. Don't leave. Don't go anywhere. They were willing to roll out the red carpet for Marcy and I. They didn't want to charge us to hang out with them for a longer period of time. You got to be prepared that when people that you talk to, they get excited about this, all of a sudden when they go back after they're committed. What's your name? I'm sorry? Cornelius. When you get committed to this, has this ever happened to you where you get committed to eXp or you get somebody new committed, they're in, and all of a sudden they go dark on you? Right? They go and they talk to their broker, right? You know what their broker does? Their broker offers them everything under the sun to stay with them. You got to be prepared for that. I wasn't prepared. When we contacted RE/MAX, the first thing they were like, hey, stay with us another 5 years. Come on, we'll just give you your franchise another 5 years. You guys cannot leave Tucson. What else will you do? Well, I don't know, we'll throw in money in the ad campaign because they never do any advertising in Tucson. We pay into this ad fund, but they never gave any, they spent all their money up here in Phoenix. They didn't spend any down there, right? Well, how much are you going to do? Well, we'll see about, we're not sure. But we'll give you guys more time on your franchise. Whatever you guys need, we'll reduce your agent fees. They start throwing all this stuff at you, right? Well, if you were worth that much to them to begin with, why didn't they offer it to you to begin with? So use that. But here's how you use it. Cornelius, now, you love the idea of coming to eXp, right? Can I let you in on a little secret? When you go back tomorrow and you talk to your broker, just beware. That broker is going to give you everything under the sun. They're going to tell you they'll do this and this and this and this and this. Be sure that you're not getting a first-class ticket on the Titanic, because this company's going places. You've already decided that, right? So when your broker starts offering you all of this stuff to stay, you're gonna. Would you like? May I make a suggestion? Yeah. So tell him. And again, this is a script that I learned. I think I got this from Scott Lewis, who's not even in our line. And Scott said, you got to go back to him. You got to say, listen, I really respect the fact that I need you to respect the fact that I've made a really important decision. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate our business relationship, but we've made a decision to go in a different direction with another company. And I need you to understand that no matter what you offer me right now, my mind is already made up. So please respect my wishes and don't try to talk me into staying, because I've already made my mind up. But I will promise you this. If you do that for me, I promise that if things don't work out and you handle the exit classy, As a broker, you don't try to hold my listings hostage. You don't try to, again, talk me out of this decision. Then I promise that I will come back here, or at least we will talk about coming back here 6 months from now. I made a 6-month commitment to this company. Can you do that for me? Yeah, so you know what? You've got to make sure, it's like a broker breakup deal, right? You got to manage the expectations. But if you don't tell this new recruit, this new agent that you brought in, that that's going to happen, I don't know. I can't tell you how many people I lost before I figured that out. Because I'm like, God, they were excited. Man, what happened? And then they stop calling. It's like they go really, I don't know, they ghost you. Is that what it's called? They start ghosting you. They don't, I don't know. I don't know all the, I'm not, I'm not that young. You guys got all these terms. And listen, I'm going to tell you something. You don't need to do a whole lot with people in this business except do what you say you're going to do. I truly believe that, we're not, I'm sorry, and I'm not talking down the whole building the blogs and I've got people that are in our organization here that do podcasts, and I hear this stuff about Instagram and all this social media stuff that I don't really have a clue how to operate. All I know is if I can talk to people, I can find out what's important to them about selling real estate. Do you want to sell more homes? Do you have enough for retirement? What would happen to you in your life, in your family's life, if you were to get sick for any extended period of time? How are you financially set? Would you like to hear about a company and an idea that you might be able to get where you need to be and have some more security in your life? Would you like to figure out how to make a retirement? How much money do you think that you need how much money annually do you need to be able to retire? I heard you guys hit on that earlier, right? It's like most agents haven't got a clue. I can tell you, Marcy and I, we had an idea, but until eXp came along, with all these thousands of homes that we've sold, literally 6,000 homes in our career now that we've sold on our team. You would think that we're like set, like completely set financially, all of this money coming in, right? I got news for you. We are now, but it's only because we're at eXp. Before, we were not set, and it was because of that ebbing and flowing. One year you sell 400 homes. The next year you sell 500 homes. Then you start trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm going to get to 600. And then you end up losing money because all you cared about was chasing transactions, but the only people that were making money were all of the agents on your team, and you weren't making any money because we learned that our own ego, my ego, it wasn't Marcy. She doesn't have an ego. It was my ego wanting for us to be number one in the world and all this kind of stuff, and we started spending more money than we were really making. And unless we were involved in the transactions, and that's where it felt like our profit was, right? But we made those mistakes, and I'm telling you that these people, just because you think they're selling tons of homes, does not equal tons of money in their pocket. And I think that's where a lot of people, they fail to realize that. So just understand that I'm probably rambling all over I don't even know where I'm at sometimes when I'm up here talking. But I can tell you this, we did not have enough money to retire. Now, we could walk away, thanks to Glenn and thanks to Brent, my buddy, calling me and telling him here's what's his line, if you guys have never heard it. He said I'm physically disturbed. I need you to talk me off the ledge. I'm about to leave Keller Williams, and I need you to don't let me make a mistake. I think this is the right thing for me to do, but, oh, man, would you look at a video? I need you at this webinar. I want your opinion. That's all I want is your opinion. Thanks, Brent. Because not only did we give him our opinion, because you always want to help your buddy out, right? You want to help your buddy. You want to help them not make a bad decision. And so that was all what it was. And I said, well, wait a minute. If you don't, let me get Marcy, And then Marcy got on that webinar, and it was the rest of it's history, right? Rob Flick, he did a Rob Flick, and then Brent Gove did a deal, and then they brought Gene Frederick in, and then they got Glenn involved. And I mean, the next thing you know, everybody's involved, and we came in. And here's what happened. We came in, we started onboarding our team. It was a shite show. I mean, it was awful. That was so bad back then. And I'm sorry if I offend our illustrious leader back here. He knows it. And I mean, it was bad back then to try to onboard a really big team. But you know what? We were prepared for it because Brent was like, big guy, don't worry, we're going to get this all smoothed out. If it was easy, then everybody would be doing it. You're getting in at the right time. I mean, think about a new subdivision when it's being built. He was managing our expectations. Here we are, right? When you build a new subdivision, they put the roads and the streets in. Then they start putting up the houses. Well, when you're driving through that neighborhood, if you're first in the neighborhood, you get to pick out the best lot, right? So if you get the best lot, you find the best. You start to, okay, I want that lot. So that's cool. But now you're going to have to drive through mud and nails and all this stuff while the rest of the subdivision's going up. But it's worth it because you got to choose the first lot in that subdivision, right? It was a big deal. And I remember Gene Frederick saying the same thing, and that's what you have to do with these people. So then now you've lowered their expectations. You're managing their expectations. So the first sign of trouble that comes along with this big team that comes in with 30 agents, 60 agents, 20 agents, 2 agents, you don't want them to freak out. You want to let them know you're here to help them through, and you don't want them to be like, not calling you. Listen, if Cornelius says, if anything comes up, and I'm sure it probably will, that you're not sure about or you're not feeling comfortable, will you do me a favor? Because nobody's perfect. We're growing really, really fast right now. I need you to call me. You call customer service, that's great, but I want you to call me and let me know. Because listen, the hardest thing that there is to do is to bring somebody in and then watch them walk away. That's the hardest thing. It's not to bring them in. It's to watch them walk away. The second hardest thing is to have a buddy or somebody that you know in real estate, and then you didn't have the guts or the cojones, if you will, to call them and ask them to look at a video. And then you'll see them at an eXp event, and you'll go, how many's had this happen? Oh, hey, Fred. Oh, what are you doing here? Damn, I missed Fred. Now I know Fred's going to make somebody else a lot of money because I didn't call him. That'll happen to you, and it's happened I don't know how many times to us. But that has nothing to do with managing expectations, and so again, I don't know what else to say about that. Obviously, the last thing I'm going to leave you with, because I'm out of time, is that do what Brent does. 9,000 agents is a lot of agents, right? Why would anybody need their own video? Why does anybody need their own webinar? You got Brent's webinar. You got Brent's video. I never show anybody anything except that video. I could record a video. I could record my own webinar. But you know what they think when you do that? They think they got to record their own webinar. Well, when I figure everything out, I'll do my webinar. Don't do that. Use the tools that are given. And don't try to, what does it say? Keep it simple, sweetheart, or keep it simple, stupid, whatever. Just keep it simple. Just get them to watch a video, get them on the phone with your business partners. If I could, would you? I could go through all of that stuff and then manage their expectations and then get them to call you the first sign of trouble. Their little stress-o-meter. Has anybody went to a Joe Stump seminar? By referral only. I'm probably dating myself when I get into that. But, he talked about, he had this little stick man, that he drew. And, he talked about the stress meter. And it's, when stress is right here, people, he draws this little stick man. And then the stress is down here about knee high. Then you start getting a little nervous. Then it gets up to your waist. Then you start you're having anxiety. And it gets up to your chest. And a little more, there's uncertainty. Then fear creeps in. And the next thing you know, it gets up to about neck high. What happens when you're afraid and confused and scared about your decision? Anybody guess? What happens? You get angry. And that's the next emotion that comes in. And when you get mad because you're not getting your answers, then you're like, screw it, I'm out of here. Don't let it get to that point. You got to communicate. I see Brent do this constantly. He's texting, he's emailing, mostly text, but because he's a texter, and he does videos. We're down in Puerto Rico last, 10 days in a row, watching this guy go running around at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I'm begging him to leave his phone in the golf cart in an off position for 1 hour. But he's like, not a problem, dude, but I got so-and-so. Can you say hi on this video? Hey, man, hey, what's going on? He's doing all these lives and everything, but it's what he does. And guess what? I watched him do that for about a week straight, and I said to Marcy, there is no secret why he's so successful, because he makes you feel special, and you don't feel like just another number with Brent. And so that's what I took away from it, and I wanted to share that. And it's all about managing expectations. And I didn't make this deck. Rob, I don't have a clue what's up there next, but I'm done. You guys, call me if you need anything. Sorry.
Fantastic job, Jeff. Thank you. Man, so excited about the future has for you guys. By the way, did you tell them? There you go. Did you tell them we're going to be neighbors, Jeff, in the Caribbean? Yeah. We're literally, we're living about 200 feet from each other on the beach, so it's pretty cool. My pup tent and his pup tent. I don't know. We got a nice place. Okay, our next speakers, I'm going to do this from somewhere in Arizona, close by, I believe. I forgot to do that part, but somewhere around here. But I get their names right. Kevin Kaufman, Fred Weaver. Did I do it right? Actually practice. They're just Kevin and Fred, and they're rock stars. Come up here, keep walking up. And everybody knows them, loves them. We're so lucky to have them at eXp, crushing it. Give them a warm hand. Do it again. Come on, you guys.
All right, we made sure Kevin wore his Dodgers hat just to distinguish between the fact that we were asked to teach the dress for success portion.
It was either what to say or what to wear. So, how's everyone? By the way,
think I'm funny.
I'm so glad that we got to go after Willems because I was feeling the same way. Like, what the hell could I have to say? And they put the only guy in the company that might be more opinionated or louder than the two of us. So I'm so stoked that I got to go right after my buddy Jeff. So.
All right, normally I'm the one that builds slides and stuff like that, but Kevin did
yeah.
this, so I have no idea what's on these slides. So let's see.
It's always a surprise to me.
All right, we had a pretty big shift, just honestly, was it last month?
Yeah, end of September. Quick side note or kind of story to set it up. I've got a good friend. Some of you may know him. He's here locally in Scottsdale. His name is Michael Burnoff. Michael, the only way I know how to describe Michael is he is an NLP master. He is Tony Robbins. I believe better technically. I've been to multiple events for both of them. I believe he's better technically than Tony. He just runs a much smaller business. It's still doing pretty good. Like his numbers line up with some of the nice numbers in here. But he's still doing pretty good, but he's not Tony Robbins. Like he doesn't have the show of Tony Robbins, but I believe technically he's actually better. Through a couple good friends, someone Willems knows, his name's Anthony Boatner, good guy in Tucson. He actually connected Michael and I. And when he connected Michael and I knew who he was because I heard him speak at an event in 2007, 2008. And he was talking all about sales and NLP. And to prove that NLP worked from that day forward, in my mind, there was a guy named Michael Burnoff, and he was the NLP guy in my head until I met him in person, I don't know, six or 7 years later. So we've become really good friends. He agreed to come in and spend a few hours with us and a couple of our leaders 5-6 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, and I think, we've had some success in attracting, recruiting, whatever word you prefer, but Michael really challenged us a month and a half ago to stop talking so much about the company and start focusing more on the psychology.
Yeah, so Kyle put a great quote up here from John. John's been a good friend and mentor to me for years as well. I think John's wrong about that. I also think that from a standpoint of people come from the model is also wrong. I think the model and the community keep people here. They're important, they're highly valuable, but most people, probably 95, 96% of people don't make a move because of what they're attracted to. Most people make a move because they're moving away from something. You caught them at the right time. And so what Michael came to us with was like, hey guys, let's focus on the psychology of it and stop selling the benefits of moving to eXp. Stop selling the model. We already know the model's better. We already know it is, because if everybody saw that, I mean, it's actually really easy to see what's the saying, you can't unsee it. Everybody would already be here. So that's proof that the model isn't the thing to get people to move. People don't necessarily move towards opportunity. Some people do, a lot of you in the room do, but not everybody does.
So it was a big shift in my focus just to stop talking so much about all the benefits of eXp and try to get a little bit more plugged into what's going on. And I've heard that theme through a couple people today, right? Like, where are they at? What's going on in their life? What's important to them? What do they want? So anyway, point number one that we just wanted to bring up today was consider focusing on the psychology and a little bit less on the company.
This is one of those psychology things. A lot of us get in our mind that moving companies, changing companies is hard, right? Think about the word change. It's not convenient. If you want to change your name, that's not easy to do. If you want to do something different for a little while, like that's it. Willems gave a great example in his awesome script about how to basically break up with a broker, right? That in that was actually this. It was like, I'm gonna go do something. I'm gonna do something different for 6 months and see how I like it. What we wanna talk to people about doing is doing something different, not changing what they do. Because changing's hard and it sucks. Nobody wants to change.
Yeah, cool. Identity is what holds us back from making changes. This was probably my biggest takeaway from the Michael Burnoff time that we had a month and a half ago, was this idea that we all have our identity wrapped up somewhere. For many of you who've known Kevin and I for years, our identity was wrapped up in Keller Williams. People thought we would never leave. Some of you can say that about Remax or whatever company you were with, right? And so really when we're talking to people about making a change or doing something different, a lot of what we're battling is their identity, right? It's like, what are people gonna think when I change the magnet on my car, right? It no longer says Keller Williams, it now says eXp on it. What do people think when I change my website, when I update my Facebook and my social media? And while we don't consciously always relay that when we're in conversations with people about doing something different or making a change, it is driving a lot of our decision, right? What's my spouse gonna think, right? Are they gonna think that I'm like, now something's wrong with where I was previously? Or can I kind of break loose, if you will, from that old identity and create a new one?
Yeah, so much of what we do, all of us, is because it's all based on a decision we made at some point 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Of us like Curtis, 50 or 60 years ago, decided to get in real estate, right? So some of us, we made a decision one day, usually, again, going back to the psychology, out of frustration, we made a decision that something was never gonna be that way again, and now our identity is all wrapped up in a decision we made 20 years ago that we're not even sure if we like anymore. But we're committed to our identity. Does that make sense?
Just a quick scripting thing while we're talking about what to say or how to say it. I've found myself in the last, and I'm just experimenting with this, so play with it if it works for you. If not, dismiss it. I don't care. But I've found myself in some conversations just in the last couple weeks asking folks, what does your spouse think about this idea? Like, I'm on Zoom 2 with them. I'm on Zoom 3 with them. I've now brought Curtis in. I brought Brent in. I brought Jay Kinder and somebody else in my upline, right? And I'm kind of saying, what's your spouse think about this? What's your business partner think about this? Have you run this by anybody else on your team? I'm kind of gauging trying to feel out how the waters, are they warm, are they cold? Like, are they actually talking about this to other people yet? Have they actually gone and asked for feedback like Brent says to do? Just try to get an idea of like, is this still like something they want to keep quiet behind closed doors, or are they open enough now to start saying, yeah, I'm sort of broaching that subject with people that mean a lot to me about this idea of me maybe changing my identity?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, people feel like they're doing something wrong, like they're cheating on a spouse, or they're doing something to those are literal words I've had repeated back to me in recruiting and attraction conversations. They feel like they're cheating on Gary or on Dave Linegar or whoever that has been so good to them for so long. And so in a lot of ways, we've got to respect that and break through it at the same time. Curtis shared something with us one time about how when he finally got the nerve to show the video to his wife, and Curtis, how long did that take you? A couple weeks? Almost a year. So it had been in your mind because Brent called you and did the same song and dance with you, and you're like, yeah, I'm not so sure. And then it came back up, and eventually you showed it to Marilyn, and she said what when you showed it to her? She said, I think it's great for you. Guys, that's huge. That alone for Curtis was like, okay, I can do this. Maybe they don't have a spouse, but I promise you there's this small group of people in their life that is that them. We want to find out who those people are and make sure that they're talking to them and find a way to include them. Fred's script that he gave right now was great about the spouse.
Well, in real life example, we had somebody recently that said to us, my wife actually thinks I should do this. Like, it was really, you know, it was like a validating type thing. And I was like, great, you want to get her on a Zoom and let's ask some questions. And we actually had an appointment out of state a couple weeks ago. And anyway, it got postponed because they had stuff with their family. But we're getting both of them, right? Like, let's talk to both of you. It kind of, I don't know if those of you ever heard like Dave Ramsey talk about hiring. He always talks about how you got to go find out if it's the crazy spouse. Like in this situation, like the point of that is that a lot of decisions are made by more than one person, right? So find out what that is, what's going on behind the scenes. There's an identity there. That was a big aha moment. And I think we only have 4 points because that was about all we could remember. So what's our last point?
So here's the deal. This is just a little NLP trick that I wanted to share with you guys that Michael shared with us. Don't focus on what's wrong, because how are entrepreneurs doing? If you called any one of your entrepreneur friends or anybody in this room and you said, hey, Curtis, hey, Stacey, hey, Glenn, how's it going? Oh, it's good. Things are going good. They might even say great. They're lying because it's never really going great, but everyone's going to say it's going good. So let's focus on what's not perfect, and then let's agitate that. There's been a lot of that recently. I think there was like a couple old white guys yesterday competing for something. Right? There's been a lot of that going on. Like, let's find the problem. That was a joke about the election. Let's find the problem that the other side, not our side, that what's not perfect, and then let's agitate that. That's all that this is doing. So, Curtis, tell me, what's not perfect about Curtis Johnson Real Estate Brokerage, LLC, or whatever, or Keller Williams, or Remax, et cetera? What's not perfect about your current environment? And now you know where to focus a little bit, because that allows people to basically break down some walls and start to share.
I have nothing else other than that your microphone doesn't like your Dodgers hat, and neither do I. That's all I got. It
does like World Series rings, though.
That's all I got. No, I think, guys, this room's smart. Like, y'all are here for a reason. There's been a lot of great presenters today. I think we just wanted to share a couple unique aha moments that we had recently in the last month of just, even though you might be having success, I love Brent said that to kind of start off today, like you might be having some success, but you're getting the results of your effort and your success, right? There's other people out there that are doing more than all of us in this room, right? And if we're just willing to sit back and adjust and analyze maybe what's working and what's not and try a different approach. For me, it's been kind of, you go through those motions, right? Stuff's working, it's going great, and then you hit some walls, you get frustrated, it causes you to move forward. Kevin and I had a frustrated moment a month and a half ago. Michael Burnoff came in and just helped us tweak a couple things and wanted to share a few of those with you today. A little bit less on the model, a little bit more on the psychology of what's going on in people's lives, what they're thinking, and kind of how they're identifying will help you in a big way. So hope we gave you one or two things to think about.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brent. You probably don't want that mic here, dude.
Yeah, I'll take that. Okay, yeah. So, couple things. Number one, I love Tony Robbins. I'm a huge Tony Robbins guy. He says 80% of the chokehold in your business is what? Anybody know? Your personal psychology. It's you holding you back. You're your greatest asset and your biggest adversary. So 80%, and what they spent their entire time talking about, psychology, and really finding out, where the other people tick, what's going on with them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap this up with just some good, fun stuff. You've all heard the old saying, your attitude determines your altitude. And if you don't like how high you're flying, check your attitude. When the stuff hits the fan, you just go, bring it on, man. Give me some more. If it's too tough for you, it's what? It's just right for me. That's your attitude. When the hotel loses your luggage, when the plane cancels their flight and all hell breaks loose, what is your attitude? How does your group, Gary Vee, what did he say? Don't listen to what I say, watch what I do. Your group watches how you respond. Jeff watched how I responded out there, and that's how people knew. It's the other saying, how about this one? Your actions speak so loud I can hardly hear what you're saying. When you're just signing people up and loving people and coming from contribution and adding value and laying your life down for others, baby, the world is your oyster. So no great deed was ever accomplished without an undeniable personal fire to achieve it. What is your fire? What drives you? Do you want to be, everyone write this down. Do you want to be a history maker? Ramon, how do I say it? Ramon, right? Sorry about that. Like Johnny Ramone. Dude, you crushed it. I was so impressed. But you got to have a fire. You got to have a desire to make a difference. Let me ask you a question. Do you want to be a history maker? Do you want to just live to die, or are you dying to live in? Right? Most people are living to die, but I'm dying to live. How about you? Do you want to be the Dash? Born 1912, died 1995. He was a plumber. She was a real estate gal. He was a real estate guy. Sold a lot of homes. Or do you want to make a huge, epic contribution to this world? Do you want to do amazing things? And the more you succeed, the more influence you get to have. And it's pretty cool. Now, we all know when certain people enter the room, a dark cloud follows them. You ever met those kind of people? You ever had a job in your life where so-and-so was sick and didn't come to work and everyone's like, woohoo! Bob isn't here today. It's going to be a good day, you know? So-and-so is not here today. So when you entered the room today, were you cognizant of the smile on your face? As the speakers were talking to you, let me tell you, it's hard to talk to a room that holds 500 people with 50 people in it. It is absolutely hard to do. Your words just go whoosh. It is every speaker. They won't tell you, but it's not fun. You want to put a group like this right over there. Whenever you do your events, jam-pack them in. We can't do that with COVID-19, but it's called room psychology. Always have way the hell less chairs than you need. Be scrambling for chairs. Oh my God, we're bringing chairs in. Look at this. Look at the turnout. There's 15 people. We set it for 10. We had to bring in a third more chairs, 5 more chairs, get 5 chairs. You guys put out 20 chairs, 15 people show up, you look like a fool. You set the room for 500, 400 show up. You always said, now here we just had to we're not able to do what I call chair psychology. We're not able to jam-pack the room. Always well, the room's not big enough. That's good. I want them out the door, crammed out the door. When we did those events at the Red Rock, there were 20 people looking, I can't get in. You know, here's their chance to have a good attitude. Once you get off your ass and get in there earlier and not come late, so you could have been in the room, and it creates this psychology, like, oh my God, they're blowing the doors off the place. It holds 40 people. You could have 5,000 people at an event and just flop because you booked a 7,000 person room. I can't even begin to tell you how important it is, the amount of chairs you set out, the room you get. We don't have a choice right now, but we would never, ever do this, correct? It is. Lick as many doorknobs as you can, just get over it, build up your immunity system. Now, I'm kidding, it's a joke. I know, okay, now. Okay, so, but we remember when, maybe not. All right, so here's the deal. When you enter the room, do you bring positivity? Do you bring love? Do you bring smile? Are you paying attention? Are you nodding? Are you checked out? What do you bring to the world? Be aware of that. Are you a room lifter? Or do you just suck the life right out of it? Man, I'm telling you, the rest of your life, I'm in church, I'm like, yeah, preach it. You know, I'm going, oh yeah, amen, that's good. I'm smiling. I was over there going, oh yeah, good thing. And so what kind of energy do you bring into the room? I'm not even kidding. Well, you were born like that. No, I learned to do these things. Well, that's kind of crazy. I don't really, be you. I'm me. I'm not trying to copy anyone. I'm just freaking letting her rip. I'm being authentic. And people respond to it. They could tell when you are full of BS or when you're just going for it. And people love authenticity. You misspell a word. You say it wrong. Whatever, you trip over yourself. You trip going up on the stage. You spill on yourself right before you speak. Whatever. It's all good. So be aware of these things. On Zooms, you're one of 40 people on a Zoom. I'm constantly scanning Zooms. I'm looking at people's face. I'm watching. And the speaker's watching you. Are you helping? I'm in Tennessee. They're in Kyle Whistle's in San Diego. What is he? He's watching you. He's looking for you to give him something. Speakers are looking for you to give back. Well, I'm not speaking. I'm just going to sit here like, oh, baby. You could change everything when you bring it and you focus and you're smiling, nodding, a great point. These are all really, really important things. Do you crush negativity? Do you deal with problems as roadblocks in a super positive way? Are you showing them, you know what? It's fine. We're going to figure it out. Over, under, around, getting hustle, having grit. How bad do you want to succeed? Are you competitive? Are you a competitor? Are you the Lone Ranger? Do you do it all yourself? Do you ask for help? Well, I don't want to bother anyone. Lose that. That's a way to stay broke and die. Reach out. We want to help you. Some of you are in my business. Some of you are not in my business. There's not a single person that could reach out to me on Workplace Chat or text me at 916-223-5555 that I wouldn't help. My own group's like, well, you're so busy. I talk to people every week in the UK, Australia, Mexico, India, Nashville, British Columbia, that aren't in my business. But in a way, we're all in each other's business because of the way Glenn designed the business. One team, one dream. I'm going to start in November in the main auditorium doing how to attract agents, how to build it. Everybody's invited because as we grow this company to 100 and 2 and 3 and 4 or 500,000 agents, our stock price right now, in my opinion, is going to look like a joke. And guess what? I bought a ton of stock today. If my wife's on the road, she just went, I'm buying. I'm excited. Sorry, Glenn. I'm excited we had a momentary dip. I'm excited. I'm buying. I believe in the future of this company. I'm telling you, people will go, oh my gosh, in 2020, because it'll be 2035. You laugh. Remember 05? That was 15 years ago. Remember 05? It's 2020 now. It's an odyssey. And they go, you were there when there were only 36,000 agents and the stock was 40 something a share? And Glenn had just become a billionaire and now he's a trillionaire. And you're a billionaire. You laugh. Oh man, I'm sorry. When we have 3, 4, 500,000 agents ordering the same home warranty policy, and 3, 4, 500,000 agents ordering from the same mortgage company, and I hope you do. It's not Glenn's company. It'll be your company. It's our company. I told my pastor when there's a bunch of trash in the parking lot. You ought to tell one of the ushers. He goes, whoa, 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 this ain't my church. This is our church. And I went out and picked up the trash. And I've been picking up the trash for 10 years. It's not somebody else's job. It's my job, right? Somebody should do something about that. Follower, you do something about it. What difference could it make? There's a lot of trash. You do what you can when you can. Okay? It makes a difference. And so, are you competitive or are you the Lone Ranger? Stop being the Lone Ranger. And I'm preaching to the choir. You guys flew here, drove here, walked here. I don't know how you got here, but I've always been the one going to Toronto, going to Orlando, getting information 20 years ago. That's how I met Jeff. Going to where was I? Plano, Texas, 7 years ago, and spoke, or 5 years ago, 6 years ago for Haas Pratt. And that's where I met Sheila. And because I flew there on my dime to speak at Haas at his first event called Recharge, I met Sheila, and 2 years later, she calls me and shares eXp. What if I had not gone to help Haas on my dime? I wouldn't have got that call. How many of you are grateful for the call you got? Yeah, but I wish I got it 2 or 3 years ago. No, you don't. There was some struggle. We fought through it, but you know what? Your timing's beautiful. We are headed to 1 million agents worldwide. 208 countries, 25 million agents. We will have 1 million. We're the only one making agents owners. We're the only ones with equity awards like this. And we're the only ones with revenue share. And there's some copycats, there's this and that. You know what? And there's room for a lot of people. I remember thinking, if you're not at Keller Williams, you've lost your mind. You're crazy. There's nobody even comes close. You know, Remax was doing just fine, not at Keller Williams. So is Global Banker. So is different companies, Realty One. There's room for everyone. It's a big place we live in. But you tell yourself, I'm too late. I missed the boat. And you know what? It's true for you. Because that's what you're selling yourself. Deep down, it runs in the background. It runs back here. The other day I was playing with my wife and I wasn't hitting the ball right, golf in Puerto Rico. And she gets up there and she wasn't doing good either. And she goes, I am a good golfer. Wham, right down the middle. And I went, dang, because I've been going up there going, oh crap, it's going to hook right. It's going to hook left. It's going to. So I go, I am a good golfer. Wham, right down the middle. Let me ask you a question. Are you a great leader? I am a great leader. Do not underestimate me. If you've underestimated me, the biggest mistake of your life, because I will fight, I will work, and it's not about fighting people, it's about loving and serving and giving. And so these are big, big deals. 80% of the chokehold in your business is your personal psychology. We've heard this before, proximity is power. Again, you guys get it. You picked up different things today. We're gonna go out to dinner tonight. There's a cocktail reception that's gonna start in just a little bit here at 5:30. There'll be appetizers and drinks. You all got drink tickets, so you got food and drink and all that. Then we'll all go out to dinner on our own. But getting around the people, meet people. You heard Kyle Whistle said, go fly somewhere. I flew to Lawton, Oklahoma. No, I didn't. Oklahoma City, then rode with the farmer in a truck for 2 hours to Lawton, some military town, to meet the #1 Coldwell Banker agent in the world, Jay Kinder, and go, how are you doing it? And he gives me all these things, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. Oh, radio? I copied him, spent $1 million on the radio. And all of a sudden, I had 28 listings all the time. And I could work Monday through Thursday and take 3-day weekends all the time. And it was awesome because I flew to Oklahoma City and I hitched a ride with some agent going to Lawton in his truck back in 2004, 16 years ago. I've flown to people's offices. Who's killing it at eXp? Show up, go, hey, can I spend the day with you? James, Nate Butcher, some of you know him, some of you don't. Almost Navy SEAL, broke his leg 2 weeks prior to graduating, becoming a Navy SEAL. He is not mentally right in the head. None of them are. Okay? I say that in fun. He is. He's a great guy. He watches the webinar. James, what did he do? No, that night. He saw it Sunday. He goes, who are you? Are you for real? I'm in Valencia. I'm 7 hours away. I want to come meet you. And I go, he goes, if I drive up there tonight, can I meet with you tomorrow? I go, sure, man. I had no idea who he was. He got in his he's a cowboy, big old awesome truck. I go, I'll put you up at the Hyatt tonight. Get up here. Spent the whole day with him. And then now he's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of agents. He actually bought the iBuyer program to eXp. The guy's incredible, but he gets it. So you're going to go hang out with Tim Harris? You're going to go head out with Gene Frederick in Puerto Rico? Well, I can't fly to Puerto Rico. Why not? You're going to go head out with Don Hobbs, Allison Hobbs, Williams in Tucson? You're going to hang out with Curtis in Phoenix? Go, hey, can I come out? Worst thing they say is no. Jay Kinder in Dallas? Well, I couldn't do that. Yes, you can. Why couldn't you do it? The reason you can't do it, the reason you won't go hang out with Fred and Kevin is because you told yourself, well, they're just going to say no. Listen to me. I have never told anybody no in 25 years. Sometimes I say I'm on vacation to Israel. I'm out of the country in Hong Kong. I'll be back in 2 weeks, right? But I'm always willing to help people. So are you. Ask and you shall receive. The reason you have not received is you don't ask because inside I can't bother Glenn Sanford. He's a billionaire. Who am I to bother a billionaire? I bugged him, right? Worst thing he'd do is tell me I'm too busy. And when he takes my call, I thank him. And so, worst thing you do, I'm too busy. And he doesn't take your call. Oh, well, who cares? Don't let your ego get in the way. So again, proximity is power. Passion is infectious. And remember this one, satisfied agents go away. Yeah, my agents are happy. They're gone. They're gone in a few months, a year or two. They're gone. I hope to high heaven your agents are not satisfied. I hope they're thrilled. I hope they can't believe the things you're doing for them, that John Cheplak's you fly in. Or you fly in a Kyle Whistle, or you ask someone, an NLP expert, to come spend a few hours and you invite other people. Or you have Curtis Johnson come share, or Jeff Williams, or Don Yoakum, or Tom Daves, or you get people, you create stuff. I just created the Mastermind in the Tropics by myself on a plane at 40,000 feet. It will be in Maui in May of 2022. I've got every day planned out in 2021. I could tell you where I'll be every single day next year because I've already done it. I already know what the future looks like. You create it. What are you doing every day? I can take you to a calendar and I can tell you exactly what's happening. And I'm already working on 2022, and James and I are working on a 3-year planning right now. We're working on 2023. What are you working on? If you aim at nothing, you will step in a mud puddle, ancient Chinese proverb. So I want to promise you this. Bring more value to your agents than anybody else can. Don't settle, yeah, they're come on, go, how can I help you? What more can I do? I called an agent before this started and said, can I go do an open house with you? She's brand new. So I want to show up for a couple hours and show you how to convert buyers. I'm going to go do that. In the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to do an open house with an agent that I sponsored. I can do it. I'm going to do it. Haven't done it in a while. Might be a little rusty, but it'll be fun. I like it. I like to struggle. Become more valuable than the other agents, sales manager, brokers. We talked about that. Do your agents know that you love them? Oh, yeah, they know. Really? Does your wife know? Does your husband know? Do your kids know? When's the last time you grabbed your kids and you just hugged them? Do they know that you love them? Because they will leave. That they want to be a part of a tribe, a community. Hunger is your greatest asset. Not your bank account, not your slick sales skills. Some of you are very talented, but you don't do nothing because you're not hungry. You're too comfortable. God gave me the gift of desperateness. Now, there's desperate, needy. We've met needy people who are desperate. They're super needy. Not like that. I'm just desperate to make a difference in this world. I'm desperate to live a life. You could be to make history, to do great things and to support amazing things. We're talking 500 years. Think big. Everyone who's done great things, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, Steve, I go, think bigger. Man, you get to the end of life and you realize that life would have gladly paid you whatever you asked. You asked little because you're an American. Try coming here from Croatia, Yugoslavia, the Iron Curtain, the other third world countries. They come here and become millionaires all the time because they see the opportunity all around us. And we're just worried about what Jenny will think at Coldwell Banker, what Bob will think at Sotheby's. He couldn't possibly want to do it. I was kind of thought Mike Battiata would just think I was an idiot. His next door neighbor is Phil Mickelson. They make wine together, Phil Mickelson and Matt. Matt doesn't know anything about golf, never asks him about the Masters, doesn't ask him anything because he has zero interest and knows nothing about golf. And Phil Mickelson likes Matt Battiata, my good friend, Jeff's good friend, the real estate agent. And guess who taught Matt Battiata how to golf barefoot here at this resort on Wildfire. Me, I taught Matt how to, and guess who called Matt when he got an eXp? Not me. Because even I prejudged him and thought Matt's a multimillionaire. He lives next to Phil Mickelson. They make wine together. They're all getting the vat, and they all have vineyards on their San Diego mansions overlooking the ocean. Matt's not going to want to do this. And Matt called me and he goes, oh my gosh, eXp is incredible. I'm signing up. I'm like, man, that's so awesome. Who's your sponsor? He goes, you are, man. You're my buddy. You're my sponsor. I said, whoa. I said, I didn't tell you about it. Did you just find it on YouTube? He said, oh, this guy out of Wisconsin called me. He's a lender. And I go, dude, call him back. No, he's a lender. I'm signed up right now. I actually am right here. It says Brent Gove. It's bleeping on the sponsor page. I go, stop. Of course, I would love to be your sponsor, Matt. Matt Battiata. Call him Mike. My good friend, Mike Battiata. Anyways, Matt Battiata. But here's the deal. You call your friend in Wisconsin, you ask him if he's got a real estate license, if he plans to sign. And if he says, no, I just turned you on to a hot thing, eXp, I will glad you signed you up, Matt. He goes, okay, I'll do it. I'll call you right back. He called me right back. Oh my gosh. What? He just got his license and he's super excited about eXp and he's signing people up. I go, there's your sponsor. He called you, not me. That's your sponsor. Had another one today. Today calls me up. Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. I said, who told you? He tells me, go, that's your sponsor. There's enough room for all of us. Now, if he would have said he called me 6 months ago, I'd cut his legs off. A year ago, it's not like I talked to him 2 years ago, go back to them. No, and I'm kidding when I say I'd cut his legs off, but the point is this. if they haven't talked to them in 2 or 3 months, if you have not talked to a seller in 2 or 3 months, you're really working with that seller, right? An agent. So it's not the first person who talks to an agent, but if they're not engaged, if they're not excited, I help them, I'll sponsor them for a stranger and send them right back. If they're engaged, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, I go, it's been like 4 months. It's open season. If you haven't talked to someone in 4 months, you don't own them. If you haven't talked to them in 3 months, you don't own them. If you talked to them last week, you still don't own them. They get to choose, but you say, hey, you should sign up with that person. Man, you wouldn't even know about it. Matt, you wouldn't have even called me if it wasn't for that guy. But he's a lender. I go, dude, you know about it because of him. Sign up, put him down. He went, delete, 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 and he put that guy down. And I can sleep at night. And anything else is a scarcity mentality. So I just really encourage you on that level to do that. Whoa, I guess we're done.